let me introduce to you Ash and his team, which includes David and Nishant. They're all Vanderbilt students, and their business is Camelot. Ash, you can take it away.
Sounds good. Hey, my name is Ash, and I'm here to show you how Camelot, our company, which is a long-only value-oriented hedge fund, helps our investors build better, happier, and more worry-free lives. So to start off, let's just introduce ourselves and our team. David and Nishant are here too. So I oversee our strategy and day-to-day operations at the company, and also oversee our technology and financials investments. Before launching Camelot, I launched a company which managed logistics for companies with remote employees in Houston in order to manage reimbursement, travel logging, etc. And I also developed a system which connected rescues with private rescuers during Hurricane Harvey, essentially an Uber for rescue. And this was profiled in the ABC News, stuff like that. So we have a strong track record of technology and business. And finally, alongside David, I sit on a committee which oversees a portion of the Vanderbilt University endowment through the investment club, where we both serve as senior analysts. And like the rest of my team, I'm a member of the Vanderbilt class of 2023. So I'll let David and Nishant introduce themselves briefly as well.
Yeah, sure. I'll go next quickly. Just thanks again, guys, for taking the time. Really, really excited to be here. Just a little bit about myself, as the slide says, I'm the financial officer. So that means, managing our current portfolio, managing our investors, how those transfers, wires, withdrawals work, all of that stuff. I also do have a background in startups, running a healthcare startup out of the MIT Martin Trust Center for Entrepreneurship. So that was a Braille reader that converted Braille to audio. We work with the Perkins School for Blind, got a provisional patent for that. So that was a really, really cool opportunity. I do have a finance background too, hopefully, right? Which is where I did private equity and real estate investments over the past couple of years at the corporate role. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll pass it to Nishant now.
Thanks, David. And again, just echoing the sentiments again, thank you all for being here. My name is Nishant Jain, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Camelot, and I also oversee a portion of our technology investments. And at Camelot, I am our tech lead for our trading algorithms and our screeners, which we'll go into a little bit more into detail further into our presentation. Before that, I was a co-founder of a startup called TechEd, which was really focused on teaching high schoolers and college students practical programming. And before that, I got a little bit of my finance background at Arthur J. Gallagher as a consulting intern. And on campus, I'm involved in various clubs and activities. One is Vandy Apps, which is really sort of a tech club oriented towards new inventions on campus. So we'd love to share what we have done here. So move on.
Sure. So like I was mentioning earlier, our goal is to help you build a better, happier, and more worry-free life. And the way we accomplish this is effectively managing your and our other investors' money from day one. Now, as I'm sure you guys are familiar with, investing consistently from day one and having a long-term investment horizon means you can grow the funds you have today into what you need for financial freedom in the long term. For example, as we've written here, just $50,000 invested today at our target annual rate of return net of fees at 20% grows to over $10 million. And of course, extrapolating that to about $5,000, that grows to over $1 million in 30 years. And this means that consistently investing through our fund and consistently having a long-term outlook in the investment space allows our investors to build the lives they need and the lives they want. So a little bit about our journey. So we started in January of 2020, and the fund really came out of our past investment experience, both managing a portion of the university endowment, as well as managing personal funds over the last couple of years, where we'd averaged a 29% annual return. So at this point, last January, we decided that we really want to take this experience that we've developed and apply that to bring the same returns to our peers on campus and launch a company around that. And while there was definitely a lot of unproven ground, we really decided that this was something that we could do based on our experience and based on our commitment to really go and build something important and something that can build value for the people around us and help them build their best lives. So we launched and began fundraising in January. And it started as probably one of the most rigorous tasks we've ever done. We took over 100 meetings in order to raise our first fund. And this ranged from everybody from students that we could find, alumni we could find, etc. And ultimately, starting with the first $1,000 deposit from my roommate, we grew this to the first fundraising round of $50,000, where we were able to take that money and hold it into our brokerage account. But at the same time, our algorithms were showing that the market was overvalued, and we decided to wait out the markets, expecting a dip in the first quarter earnings season. And of course, this is exactly what happened. We were extremely fortuitous in our timing, but also our algorithms are pretty accurate in their predictions. So we were able to buy into the coronavirus dip, essentially into a series of companies that we thought would emerge from the pandemic stronger than ever before. And these holdings now form the core of our portfolio, and we've consistently expanded since then, both in terms of our learning and our education in the field, because we know that to succeed in the markets, you always have to be growing and always learning as much as possible. And this has meant reaching out to as many fund managers as we can find in order to learn about their strategies and risk management frameworks. For example, we reached out to a local hedge fund manager in Nashville who helped us develop our risk management strategy, including exposure to different investment styles, time horizons, and how to hedge our risk and stuff like that. So we've always been focused on growing intellectually, but then also growing the company. We're now approaching $150,000 in assets under management through additional deposits, as well as performance of our initial fundraising. So we've returned 34% net of fees in 2020, which is more than double the S&P 500's performance. And now that we've covered a little bit about how we got here and kind of where our journey has taken us, let's jump into the strategy a little bit, and David will take it from here.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ash. Yeah, so just quickly a little bit about our strategy and how we think about things when we make an investment. So I like to say, how do we go from ideation to execution, right? So how do we have a thought about something in the market to how does that trade get executed on a large scale across our brokerage platform? So the first thing, as Ash mentioned too, we've invested significant time into building out algorithms. Nishant can talk a little bit more down the line about the actual technical indicators that we use for that, but we do a mix of looking at historical indicators, historical performance, and then future growth rate. And that kind of gives us a funnel of companies, a specific investment universe to look at. And then from there, we'll go through and pick them out individually and handpick the ones that we like. And then from there, do a more rigorous financial, like a DCF, for example, or do a comp, or look at growth prospects and stuff like that. And then this is all individually. And then we'll come together as a group and then kind of just discuss for a couple hours and hash out what we like, what we don't like, what the management team looks like, earnings, all sorts of stuff like that. So then as a group, we agree on principle to actually buy the company. So now it becomes a matter not necessarily of if, but when. So when do we think is the optimal time, right? Just because there are inherent short-term fluctuations in the market. So then we do an additional technical analysis looking at market momentum, specific chart-based indicators that we use. And then once we determine that optimal entry point, we're able to buy, and then we execute that trade on behalf of all of our clients. And then obviously the work is not done until after we've made the investment. So we continue to monitor just to minimize risk. Sorry, can you not hear me?
No, you have a 3-minute warning, sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you. And maximize growth.
Perfect. So we have a ton of competitive advantages, especially deriving from our youth, and I'll let Nishant touch on those briefly.
Thanks, Ash. Yeah, so speaking to our competitive advantages, I think it's really important, first of all, to note our age, and especially note that as younger investors and as younger managers, there's definitely a bit of scrutiny that comes into us, and we've definitely been asked tons of times, why are you guys qualified? And we definitely think this is a great question and a valid one, but we would note that as members of Generation Z, we believe that we're very uniquely positioned to anticipate future trends in technology as well as in society as a whole. And just a few numbers to kind of account for this. Gen Z already accounts for over 40% of all consumer spending just in 2020. And we know that they have a spending power of over $140 billion. And we believe as a fund and as a team in college, especially a team that's more technically oriented with economics and computer science students, as we all are, we believe that we're uniquely positioned to take advantage of the trends that we're seeing in technology, especially through our investments that we will go into momentarily. Another thing that we really do in our fund is we prioritize education and inclusivity for all of our investors. And this takes the form of radical transparency. We send monthly newsletters that are usually 12 to 15 pages that really highlight all of our decisions and our market outlook to really help our investors become a part of the process and learn about what's happening behind the scenes. So Ash, if you want to go to the next slide, we can talk about more.
Sure. Yeah, so we returned 34% net of fees last year, as we mentioned earlier, which is more than double the S&P's performance, owing both to our prescient decision to kind of wait out the markets in January through March, and then also just outperforming the markets in the long term from there. So our holdings include some prominent tech names as well as financial names. We can go into this a little bit more during the Q&A section because we have a pretty in-depth explanation of kind of our investment process and the case studies behind our investments, but we can definitely explore these a little bit more. We've returned about 80% on a Pershing Square investment, for example, and recently invested in Activision as well. So to kind of summarize everything we've discussed, between us, we have a great deal of experience, and at the same time, we've been really committed to learning as much as possible. And we've been consistently beating the market, 29% annual returns in the 2 years preceding 2020, and then 34% net of fees in 2020. We're really committed to leaving a legacy, which is of improving people's lives. And we're working hard to do this. And we'd love to have you join us on our journey. And that's Camelot. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. So I will start the 10 minutes Q&A, hand it over to the judges. You can either raise hand or fight over it, whichever one you want.
How are you leveraging the Gen Z competitive advantage in your investments that you're making specifically?
Yeah, we'd love to show you that. And Activision is a perfect example. So Nishant, I know this is one of your coverage companies. If you want to discuss that briefly, we'd love to hear a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. So I think Activision is a good example, but even, so I'll start with Activision, then it'll lead me to my other part of the answer, which I think will sort of be more focused on the algorithm side. But this is a really good example of why we believe that as a fund and as a team, our vision goes farther than just what investment might be a good one. I think we, as a fund, really prioritize investing in trends. And I think Activision has really shown this to us. This is just a company that we thought earlier this year that video games, especially those on mobile devices, really outperformed during the pandemic and during this fiscal year period. We noted that a lot of our all of our friends and a lot of younger students, period, were spending more time and allocating more money towards their video games, and especially those, as I said before, on their phones. So we saw that this company really had a strong foothold and a very strong leadership position in this industry. And I think this is more of a case study that shows that, like, this is more of our investment that has successfully translated into our thesis. But I think speaking to the Gen Z, speaking more to your question, I think that our ability to take advantage of different things in the market, such as, for example, I'm sure you've all heard of Wall Street Bets recently. Our algorithms, we have specific screeners and algorithms that track the online community for if there's a good opportunity to buy certain stocks that fit in with our overall thesis. And I think that just helps provide some insight to you as to our team being at the foothold of innovation in terms of our algorithms. So I can go into more detail about that, but I hope that answered your question.
So is your algorithm proprietary to Camelot? First question. And then second question, as you look forward to growing the business, where do you see yourself positioning yourself in the market as the reason to invest in Camelot versus obviously there are a lot of other investment vehicles available for people. So is there a specific market you're targeting, i.e. Gen Z, or what's the hook there?
Sure. So just to kind of answer where growth is looking like and kind of on that note. So you're absolutely right in the sense that so far, a lot of our investors have consisted of younger people. But at the same time, we feel that we can occupy a very meaningful market niche where we essentially connect older, more established and institutional investors with a younger perspective and with our proprietary algorithms, with our proprietary insight, bring kind of a new approach to the investment space. And like we were talking about with Activision, where being able to see our peers spend more time on the company's products and having that firsthand insight, and then applying that insight to generate an investment thesis, which has proved to be a very profitable one, especially during the pandemic, which, like I mentioned, we were seeing. We really bring that opportunity to all sorts of investors, whether that's an institutional investor or somebody our own age. So the niche that we would really occupy in the market is a high return, low risk, equities focused investment strategy. So our target rate of return, like we've mentioned earlier, is 20% net of fees, and we've been able to meet that consistently. So basically, this is a kind of investment opportunity with a risk profile that would kind of be middle of the market, and then a return profile which is also above market, obviously. So we're pretty wide in terms of our investment appeal.
Ash, I'm going to direct this question to you. I'm apt to believe that you guys bring a bit of a perspective advantage, as you described, being Generation Z and coming at this
Sure.
market analysis from a younger perspective. But have you given any thought as a leadership team to the potential blind spot that creates in terms of the vast majority of the capital being invested on Wall Street is being invested by generations that are much older than you, may not share that perspective, and thereby creating a bit of a gap?
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. And I think that kind of speaks to something that we've been very kind of focused on, which is learning not only from our own perspectives, but also learning from those who are more established. And that's involved reaching out to hedge funds in their local area, reaching out to hedge funds on Wall Street, and garnering their perspectives as well. Because you're absolutely right, there's a lot of companies with established business models and consistent cash flows, which are going to succeed in the long term and prove to be great businesses to invest in, even if they aren't flashy kind of youthful businesses. And we've been very keen on learning from the people around us to grow our market knowledge. And of course, I want to mention too that our algorithms are kind of agnostic to the company's kind of flashiness. They essentially look at the financial metrics. So we look at all sorts of companies. For example, Pershing Square is an established financial holding company with stakes in companies like Agilent, which manufactures precision optics, which is a pretty stable business, but not necessarily one that would be immediately emergent to the youthful audience. So we've been pretty diverse in terms of our appeal, but I would say that the insight edge that we have is more of an advantage on top of the broader and more general investment principles, as opposed to creating a blind spot and replacing them. It's on top of, not in place of, if that makes sense.
It does.
And John, did you have a question? I just want to make sure we get that in.
Yeah, also kind of, I guess, piggybacking off the kind of last couple of comments, you don't have to delve too much into it, but I was curious what % of your portfolio actually is invested in investments that you would say are Gen Z specific? Because when I saw the list, I saw Activision and thought, okay, that one. But then the others, it looked pretty familiar to me as kind of what old people invest in as well. But it was just flashed up on the screen, so I'm not totally sure.
Yeah,
I'll take offense to that, John.
Let me show you. I'm sorry. You're cutting out. That might just be on my end. But this is our holding profile. So we
What
can
would you
kind of.
categorize as Gen Z unique value prop specific?
Sure. So I think Chewy was a good example of that, because we had a lot of younger people who were seeing kind of spend, like we were saying, spend more time at home, and kind of needing to have food products for that, needing to have care products for that. And the younger demographic was especially prominent in Chewy's customer base, because these are people who have more time on their hands. For example, they're in school, so they're in college and have a little bit more time, as compared to somebody who's working, let's say, 100 hours a week on Wall Street, something like that. So this was kind of a demographic which was creating more demand for Chewy's products. And Activision, as we spoke to earlier, was a company where we were seeing our peers spend more and more time on their gaming products, because the pandemic kind of caused the end of more conventional, I guess, social outlets. And this meant that people were spending more time gaming and making in-app purchases, especially as stimulus checks came in. And we were seeing this firsthand, and we were very, very optimistic about how that would play into our investment thesis when we analyzed the financials of the company and did our kind of more rigorous financial analysis. We found it to be an excellent investment opportunity, which bode favorably with our kind of firsthand perspective. And of course, it's been a fantastic holding since then. So,
Drew, just 30-second warning for everybody here.
Quick question. I'd love to hear a non-financial related business challenge that you've addressed with your entrepreneurial mindset.
Sure. So I guess one thing is just maintaining customer relations and being able to really spend the time that our customers want, because I think we touched on this earlier, and I want to elaborate and emphasize that we see Camelot not just as something that helps build better lives through our returns, but also through the education that we offer. Because we know that to be successful in the financial world, we don't want you just being dependent on us. We want you to have a knowledge of the world around you, and have knowledge of how to invest and manage your money. And so making sure that our investors get out of the company what we want them to has included spending a great amount of time on newsletters, spending a great amount of time even on weekly conference calls, which we arrange with all our investors, whoever wants to join, in order to kind of talk about market developments, talk about kind of what their capital allocation should be looking like how much should they be saving, how much should they be investing, and then what kind of the basic principles of investing are, and how the market movements, for example, the Federal Reserve's decisions, stuff like that, impacts investment performance. So maintaining that kind of emphasis on customer growth from the company. So not just financial growth, but also learning growth and overall holistic growth for each of our investors has been something very important for us, and something that we spend a lot of time on. And yeah, it's required a great deal of effort, but it's been something super important.
Perfect. Thanks, Ash. Ash, Nishant, David, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Sarah, it's on to you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Bethany Nelson. I am the founder and CEO of Local Island Cup. I was born and raised in the Azores, Portugal, which is a group of 9 islands in the mid-Atlantic Ocean. It's about 2,000 miles away from the east coast of the US and 1,000 miles away from mainland Europe. Growing up on such a small island, I had to find a lot of ways to entertain myself. So I pursued a lot of creative hobbies, and that has really molded my company to where it is today. Another thing that has definitely influenced my perspective on business is I did a lot of community service work with my family growing up. I was really able to see firsthand how much dignity providing fair work gave people over simply giving someone a handout. It was really, really empowering for people to be able to help themselves in that way. The islands are very naturally beautiful, as you can see from this picture. They are largely untouched. The oceans are clean, the air is clean, the land is fairly untouched. You can see the Milky Way galaxy. It looks like a cloud of light on a clear night. So this has really impacted my desire to create a business that uses creativity, sustainability, and then that fair employment aspect. So in 2017, I made the move to attend university at Stanford in the States. I was on an accelerated pre-law track with a passion for human rights work. I really wanted to go into labor specifically. I had recently learned about the human rights violations in like fast fashion factories where these people were not in safe conditions and also being severely underpaid. But something happened that altered the track from pre-law to where I am today. So the first week of my freshman spring semester, I began to get really sick. We did not know what was going on, and at the most extreme points, my symptoms looked like my hands and feet going completely numb to a point of being paralyzed. I had horrible pain throughout my whole body. My blood values were all over the place, and I was losing a lot of weight. After about a month of going to doctor's appointments, honestly more than class, my doctor sat me down and told me, this is going to be really hard to hear, but you might have cancer. I just remember feeling like the blood drain out of my face and like my heart dropped through the floor. My brother was there with me, and as we were walking out of that appointment, we couldn't speak, but I know both of us were just thinking, like, how are we going to tell mom and dad? So that afternoon, I had to FaceTime my parents, which is probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do, and tell them they think I might have cancer. I could just see their hearts breaking, and it was a really difficult moment to have to be able to be the one to deliver that news. They bought plane tickets right away and came to take care of me and just kind of help me figure out the next steps. So during this time, I was really doing a lot of reflecting. I was trying to see what I needed to do with my future. I was facing having to drop out of my pre-law classes, wondering if Stanford was the place for me, and also just wondering what the future looked like. Looking back over this season, I definitely lost a lot of things, but I think the main thing that I lost was fear. I lost a lot of fear of failure and just gained this next level of gratitude because there's definitely a chance that I wouldn't be here, and I'm really grateful for that opportunity, and I want to make this like second chance absolutely worth it. I'd been feeling a pull towards business and decided to change my major to business and pursue entrepreneurship as I realized that I would be able to help people with fair labor by being the one to provide those jobs. I learned a lot during this season. One of the main things is to have open hands with my career, my life, my health, and the people around me. Just understanding that life is very dynamic, being able to adjust to those changes and kind of be able to overcome and take any kind of bad situation and turn it into something good. We were able to confirm that I did not have cancer in May of that year, which marked the end of a 4-month period of uncertainty where I was 19, living in a new country, over 5,000 miles from home, and feeling unsafe in my own body. Some lessons that I was able to take away from this season and that I carry still today are that I am here for a purpose and I want to make it a really good and impactful one. That failure is not a dead end, but it's an opportunity to learn and grow and kind of look up and be redirected. I also learned that I am not living without taking risks and pushing my comfort zone, as well as just kind of really cementing the fact that even though pursuing business is scary, what do I have to lose? So after several months of just dreaming, I came up with Local Island Co. in January of 2019. Local Island Co. is a clothing company that begins with creativity, sustainability, and fair quality work to create clothing with value. Our objective is to develop a signature collection that stands alone in the market and is unique, as well as a staple collection that will serve as alternatives to fast fashion. As we develop and search out new products, 2 things we are not willing to compromise on are the principles of sustainability and that fair quality work. The more that I learned about the fashion industry, the more I was shocked that the threat that this posed to not only workers, but also the environment. One thing that really stood out to me was this statistic that I read, that every second approximately 180 cubic yards of textiles are discarded. That is a trash truck every second. And we've been talking about 7 minutes, which means over 420 trash trucks of clothing and textiles alone have been landfilled just since opening this dialogue. So as you can see from some of the facts on this slide, the fashion industry has really touched the air, water, and land. But at Local Island Co., we believe that the earth should not pay for fashion. Okay. We use natural fiber, recycled, vintage, and dead stock materials to make our clothing with a lot of quality and value. Our goal is to create these timeless pieces that will be passed from sister to sister and friend to friend, rather than worn once or twice and then just discarded. I currently serve as the fashion designer, producer, marketer, and salesperson at Local Island Co. My mom is an invaluable part of my team, and she has taught me everything I know about the design and sewing aspect up to this point. We design and make everything by hand in-house, literally in our home, and we have really enjoyed that relationship that we have been building and being able to work together. As we have developed our collections, we have been making and selling pieces on a custom-made basis. This has been really important for us in market research as we understand what people are interested in, as well as developing sizes based off of real people. I've been pretty light on the marketing up to this point because I don't want to overproduce and underdeliver with our scale the way that it is right now. It's really important for me to build the brand responsibly in a way that reflects my values, the mission of the company, and then also respects all of our stakeholders. When COVID hit in the spring, I actually found more opportunities than challenges. With online classes, I was able to be a lot more flexible in every single one of my roles in the business. One of my mentors asked me to make 10 masks for her family, and since then I have made and sold masks in over 40 fabrics and sold out of 2 collections, summer and fall. This product also opened up an opportunity to start selling at local farmers markets here in Birmingham, and that is something that I plan to continue doing in this spring. Being a finance and management double major, I don't have a lot of time to design and sew when I'm at school. Thankfully, university has offered a lot of growing opportunities, being able to build relationships and also just learn what people are interested in. I wanted to create some products that would really connect with my peers and be pretty simple products that I could have year round. And you can see them here in this picture. On the left, we have a sticker. I did a lot of research and found
3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. The most sustainable sticker option on the market. It's actually fabric-based rather than vinyl. And on the left and behind me, you can see this rack of t-shirts. I decided to create our branded shirts by recycling local Birmingham shirts from thrift stores as a way of both engaging local business and working with nonprofits, and also sticking to our vision of sustainability. One of my mentors here in Birmingham is setting up a meeting between me and a good friend of his who is the owner of a chain of thrift stores here. So we can build a relationship where they would supply t-shirts, I would buy from them exclusively, and I would also encourage my customers to donate clothing to this thrift store, and we would be able to have this kind of relationship that is circular and also supplies both of our businesses with a steady stream of what we need. These sticker and t-shirt products provide a steady stream of products that I will be able to use in an online store that I am planning on launching soon, and I will be able to have confidence that this product will be delivered no matter where I am in the world. I'm graduating in May and attending Accademia del Lusso in Milan, Italy this fall for a master's in sustainable fashion design. I'm really excited to see where this learning experience takes my vision for the future and Local Island Co., as well as my design skills. I don't know all of the things that the future will hold, but I know that sustainability and fair work are 2 things that I am not willing to compromise on, no matter what business that I am in. Further down the road, my goal is to source production out of mainland Portugal. Portugal is known for its textiles, especially linens, and by keeping production in the country, I believe this would it would definitely reduce
1 minute.
transportation pollution, and also build this strong relationship for fair labor and sustainability. I'm really thankful for all the opportunities I've been given, including the opportunity to present today, and I'm excited to do the most with what I have. I understand the dynamic nature of both fashion and business, and that change is guaranteed. I am really excited to rise to the challenges as they come and show everyone that that a girl from the Azores can dress the world without charging the environment for it.
Great, thank you, Sarah. All right, now we'll open it to 10 minutes of questions. Who wants to go first?
I will.
All right, Ashlyn?
I have 2 questions, Sarah. First, have you actually sold any of your products? And if so, to who? I'm assuming probably your peers. And then second, I know in the sustainable fashion industry, one of the real challenges is how you are able to market, because naturally when you're doing something that's sustainable, your costs are going to be higher. And so have you thought through how you position yourself there in terms of pushing the product and convincing people to spend $100 on that t-shirt versus spending 15 at Target, then you're going to throw it away in a year?
Yes, absolutely. So I have actually been able to make a good number of sales over the 2 years that Local Island Co. has existed, including like positive revenues at the end of the year. So last year we made over $1,200, and that was our first year of really like operating on this scale. And to your second question, how I'm able to kind of engage with people and convince them that this is worth the higher price that it will cost. So I'm not sure if I had mentioned this earlier, but as my mom and I have been working together, every time we've opened a door or offered a new product, we've been really pleasantly surprised to see that the demand has always come to match what we have to offer. I haven't had a lot of trouble finding people who are willing to engage with it. I think since COVID has hit, there's been a really big shift in sustainability in fashion, actually. I think people have become just more aware of the environment in a lot of ways. And so I think that this is a time where it's a really good time to enter the market because people are becoming more aware of it. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Drew?
Talk to me, like, let's say the business grows and gets to an established place. What does it look like? What channels do you kind of see yourself selling to and through? In what's your vision for the company, maybe 5-10 years down the road?
Okay, that's a great question. So the channels that I would plan on engaging, I think e-commerce is really big, but I'm also aware that there is that aspect of sustainability of shipping is not always considered the most sustainable thing. So I would love to sell in stores. I don't think having my own brick and mortar, but maybe selling through department stores, like higher end department stores, might be an option in the future. So as far as 5 or 10 years down the road, I am holding on a little bit loosely to the exact like niche that Local Island Co. will be in at that point. I want to be really flexible to grow with the company and not force it into one particular space. I am pretty open to just seeing where fashion school takes my design, and I think that I might end up trying to fit into a little bit of a higher end space.
And just quickly, tell me a little bit about how you see your designs of your clothing reflecting that higher end and the brand you're building.
Okay. So right now, as we are in the more basics area, I have been creating more simple pieces based more like solid colors and simple kind of classic retro inspired cuts. But as I just have dreamed more and researched more, I really am interested in kind of pulling in some more unique elements. Like the piece that I'm wearing right now would be from that signature collection that is unique. This is actually like a kind of dead stock vintage upholstery fabric. And so just kind of trying to combine different ideas and just be really innovative and kind of surprising in the ways that we can combine just different aspects.
Got it. Dan?
Yeah, Sarah, the fashion industry is notoriously very cutthroat. You mentioned your mom has been quite a resource. You mentioned a mentor. What thought have you given to resources with more experience, gathering a support team of peer. Do you have an advisory board? I'd like to know more about that.
Yeah, thank you. So I do not currently have like an advisory board that is particularly involved in the fashion industry. I have several mentors here in Birmingham who have been successful business owners and entrepreneurs. And so I've learned a lot from them, from the business aspect, a lot about just marketing and customer relations, kind of how to position a product. So I am really seeking that kind of support and development next year when I'm in grad school. I believe that I'll be able to make a lot of really good connections. All of the professors at the school I'm attending are currently professionals in the luxury fashion sector in Milan. And so I believe I'll really be able to build a lot of connections and learn a lot through those experiences and relationships.
John, did you have anything?
Sarah, I was curious if you could tell us about one of the larger mistakes you feel like you've made as a business leader and what you learned from it.
Okay, I think that's a great one. So I think one of my biggest mistakes in a way has been, like I said, I've been pretty light on the gas with marketing, and part of me feels like maybe I've been a little too cautious and holding myself back, where maybe I could be putting myself even more into this. I just also want to be very cautious, as I am a student, to be able to juggle my academics and the business well.
All right. Any other questions, judges?
One last one would be, Sarah, what's your favorite piece that you've designed so far and why?
I think the piece that I'm wearing is probably one of my favorites. It's one of the first ones where I really let that kind of unique creative side out. I was like, this could be horrible, but we're going to try it. It could be great at the same time.
Is it a dress or is it, what is it? Okay, just stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. So I think it's one of my favorite pieces just because I felt like I was kind of taking a risk in just the cut and the combination of fabrics, and I just had a lot of fun with it.
And what has the response been when people see it?
People really like it. They're surprised. I think people don't really expect the kind of couch fabric, but people like it.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you, Sarah.
Okay.
And I think we'll see you next at 4:15.
Okay. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Zoe Antel.
Yes.
And Jessica Kaplan, both from Vanderbilt. Their business is Ready Dress Go, lowercase, which I misspelled in a previous communication. So I apologize to Zoe and Jessica. But Zoe and Jessica, it's all yours.
Awesome. Good afternoon. My name is Jessica.
And I'm Zoe.
And we are here today to present our business, Ready Dress Go, providing professional attire aimed to inspire to young women starting their careers.
Ready Dress Go will revolutionize professional attire for young women as they get dressed to enter the workplace. As Vanderbilt freshmen who had just joined a business fraternity, Jessica and I were always going to events where we had to dress in business attire. We personally experienced difficulty trying to find professional clothes to wear that were comfortable, accessible, and fashionable, and we knew we couldn't be the only ones. We understood this wasn't just a problem that we personally experienced, but one that was affecting young professional women on and off college campuses across the country. It was on a walk back from one of these business fraternity events when Jessica was complaining to me about the clothes that she was wearing. And that's when I turned to her and asked, why don't we do something about this? It was in that moment that we launched Ready Dress Go.
Shortly after, we began extensive customer discovery with members of our target demographic. We conducted over 50 interviews with women, which we then coded to quantitatively better understand our target market. We found that 76% of college-age women feel limited by existing professional attire style options. 83% of these women express concerns about the cost of professional attire, and 90% are overwhelmed by the experience of shopping for business clothes.
As entrepreneurs, we know that understanding our target market is key to a successful business. Our participation in Vanderbilt's pre-launch and post-launch programs gave us the tools to identify how and where to gain insights into our target customers. So we crafted a customer discovery survey using a series of questions that would reveal young women's past experiences in shopping for and in wearing professional attire, and how those experiences could also be improved. It was through these conversations with members of our target demographic that inspired the value proposition behind Ready Dress Go.
Ready Dress Go is an e-retail platform that helps young, aspiring businesswomen who want to feel confident in the workplace by increasing the comfort, quality, and accessibility of stylish professional attire. RDG inspires women as they enter the professional world by fostering a dynamic community of like-minded women. Our work attire is fashionable yet professional, comfortable but still bold, all without breaking the bank. At our core, our brand is centered around empowering women, and while our business model has evolved over time, our true mission has persisted.
Before we dive deeper into our business, we want to take a moment to reflect on our journey as entrepreneurs. In this photo here, you can see Jessica and me at the fall 2019 GSEA competition, the first time we ever pitched in front of judges. We came to this competition with high hopes for a cash prize, but instead left knowing that we would be back the year following and that we had a lot to do in the meantime. The main element of feedback we received in 2019 was that although our concepts were there, our business was missing the necessary product samples in order to execute our launch. Well, take a look at what we're wearing now. These aren't just our prototypes of what our clothes may look like either. These are the final samples of our collection that we will be starting to sell to customers in just over 2 weeks. In the time since we were last at GSEA, we have finalized our product sample development, sourced fabrics from Bulgaria, interviewed and hired a manufacturing partner, and pivoted our collection as a result of COVID. And through it all, we learned more than we ever could have imagined, and grew together as entrepreneurs. One of the most important skills that we gained through this process of developing Ready Dress Go has been learning to gauge what is within and what is outside our capabilities. We started Ready Dress Go with the idea that we could learn everything necessary to succeed. But now that we've grown as entrepreneurs and have more experience under our belts, we're able to decide when to solve problems internally versus leaning on outside professionals to outsource certain projects.
Zoe and I are the CEOs and co-founders behind the brand. With our differing backgrounds and varying skill sets, together we make the perfect duo to lead Ready Dress Go. Zoe is the financial brain of our team. Through her studies of data analysis and business at Vanderbilt, she brings an analytical mindset that is essential for our partnership. I bring the marketing perspective to the brand. My major at Vanderbilt is human and organizational development, and my past internships in business development have enhanced my interpersonal and creative thinking skills. Additionally, last year, we were accepted to be on the steering committee for Nashville Fashion Week, an internship that gave us hands-on experience in the fashion world. Through this internship, we learned about the Nashville design startup ecosystem and networked with industry professionals who have since become our company's own advisors. Since beginning this journey as entrepreneurs, both our personal and professional relationship has grown so strong, and together we are the best women for the job.
Since our founding in 2019, we have made tremendous progress with Ready Dress Go. In the fall of 2019 and spring of 2020, we participated in the pre-launch and post-launch programs sponsored by Vanderbilt. These competitive incubator programs pushed us to define our value proposition, conduct customer research, and pitch our ideas to investors. In the spring of 2020, we interviewed over 15 different manufacturers until we landed on our current partner, Prang Apparel, based in Nashville, Tennessee. Ready Dress Go is proud to support a local manufacturer that was founded and is run by Megan Prang, a female entrepreneur. We love how both of our missions are female-centered. Also, Prang Apparel provides fair wages to their employees, which is important to us given that we are a locally grown business that prioritizes ethical practices. Additionally, this past summer, we started launching our digital platforms, starting with our website. And under a month ago, we launched our social media, and our Instagram already has over 330 followers, a number that we see increase every single day. Finally, this brings us to our 2021 launch. On February 22nd, we will be officially launching Ready Dress Go through a pre-order model where customers can order our work from home set and they will receive their business wear 6 weeks later. We couldn't be more excited about our launch, and we get to share all the details with you here today.
Our revenue model is selling our work from home set through the iFund Women platform, a crowdfunding site that empowers female-founded businesses to raise capital. We will be selling our top for $70, our blazer for $150, and the set for $200 total. This direct-to-consumer model will allow for us to sell at retail prices that we have validated through extensive competitor research, as well as through surveying our target demographic on what they believe to be reasonable prices for the high-quality products that we are providing. The top in the work from home set is loosely fitted and purposefully in a neutral gray color. The top's fit is comfortable for women who range in chest sizes, and it has wide enough straps where the bra will never be seen. Our blazer is a power piece that is comfortable and functional. The ultra stretch fabric that is used to make this blazer makes it perfect for business meetings, or it can be transitioned to more casual clothing for young women. The pockets are wide enough to hold an iPhone, as this was consistent feedback we received from our initial customer interviews. Both of the garments are wrinkle-free and machine washable and have simple washing instructions, perfect for young women who don't have the time or extra cash to spend on a dry cleaning service. The work from home set is simply just the beginning, as our product line will continuously expand year to year.
The customer acquisition strategy for RDG includes a college ambassador program and an e-retail platform. The College Ambassador Program is a marketing strategy that will take place physically on campuses, with college women serving as champions for our brand. The ambassador at a given college campus will partner with business-oriented organizations and programs to organize pop-up shops for selling Ready Dress Go clothing. And with over 5,300 colleges in the US, there's so much room for future expansion of this model. The second QA we will acquire customers is by leveraging an online presence, which we have already begun to develop with our launch approaching. As mentioned, this e-retail platform consists of a user-friendly website and social medias, including Instagram and Facebook. Through promotions and advertising on social media, Google SEO, and more, we have already begun to direct traffic to our website and to our socials. We are also in the process of reaching out to women and business-oriented organizations on campuses to post about RDG on their accounts and spread the word. In fact, Dartmouth Women in Business has already approached us with potential ambassadors they have in mind to promote our brand on their campus.
However, our brand is so much more than simply products. RDG supports women by providing customers the opportunity to join a community of like-minded businesswomen. After purchasing a product, the customer receives an invitation to join the boardroom, where she gains access to exclusive promotions, an inclusive community, and a monthly newsletter. Content for the newsletter consists of professional tips, articles, and blog posts from the RDG team and other members of the boardroom. Through both the brand and products, RDG will inspire women as they get dressed to enter the professional world, one outfit at a time.
Ready Dress Go's target market is 18 to 24-year-old females entering the business world who are at the start of their professional journeys. On the younger end, we have underclassmen students who are pursuing internships both during and between the academic semesters. The middle range of our customers are upperclassmen students who are going through really important interview processes, looking ahead at jobs after college. And then we have the older end of our target market who are recently graduated women in their first full-time jobs.
Our total addressable market is 11.5 million women in the United States. These women are currently enrolled in college or 1 to 2 years post-graduation. Our serviceable addressable market is approximately 13% of our TAM, 1.05 million women. This fraction of university and recently graduated women are pursuing or graduated with a professional related degree, including but not limited to a degree in business, econ, or pre-law. Our serviceable obtainable market is 50,000 women, which represents 5% of our SAM. We will actually be able to reach due to an alignment of price, style, and our own operational capabilities as a company for the next 3 to 5 years. This is the market that we identify as highly attainable once we gain traction from crowdfunding sales, graduate from Vanderbilt, and have a full product offering and inventory. These 50,000 women translates into 10 million in annual sales from just our work from home set.
What separates us from other brands that sell business wear is catering to the specific needs of a young professional woman. This customer archetype is grossly underserved and in need of professional attire as they transition from college into their careers. What differentiates RDG is the company's ability to focus on quality of products, a fashionable style, youthful attire, and comfortable options.
As you have seen today, Ready Dress Go has made tremendous progress to date. However, we are only just beginning. We have big plans for the future of our company into our senior year of college and beyond. As Vanderbilt students and entrepreneurs, we have gained so much from this experience, including an amazing friendship between Zoe and myself, and credible connections with the Nashville entrepreneurial community, and skills about perseverance and dedication that will stick with us for the rest of our lives.
Today's competition is instrumental in the future growth for Ready Dress Go. To date, we have raised over $11,000 through pitch competitions, grant earnings, and personal investments. Winning today's competition will allow for us to continue product development for our future collections and reach more customers in our first year of sales. Also, we have big plans to expand our collection. We believe that the $3,500 prize is exactly the push we need to sell 200 work from home sets this year, which totals to $40,000 in annual revenue. This is not including revenue from our pant design that has been put on pause for the pandemic and will be released later this spring, given that there's a need for them if we transition out of work from home. Even bigger than revenue is that we hope to reach more and more women who we can inspire as they enter the professional world every single day. Thank you for your time and support of Ready Dress Go, and we look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, Jessica and Zoe. All right, judges, I'll open it up to you guys for questions.
I'll start. You guys have been at this for close to 2 years, it seems, and you're now wearing the first examples of your collection. Have you had any sample sale experience in that period of time? Can you tell us about any of the product, just the financial aspect that you've encountered in the last 2 years?
Yeah.
Sorry, the product side or the
The financial side, sample sales. What kind of traction have you gotten? How much money have you made? I've seen you raise 11,700, but have you had any experience on campus selling these products, or are we at that stage right now?
This is that stage right now. So we have been, essentially the best way to explain it is that we started off with no background of designing clothes and an idea in our head of what we wanted to provide to these women. And starting at that point, and that put us at a disadvantage just in terms of trying to start a brand from scratch. And we've been in and out of development, making these products exactly perfect and exactly what we want them to be and exactly what our customers want. So that's involved a lot of, we had, a first round of samples, and we had as many people as we could try them on. And even if it wasn't in their size, to come in while someone else was trying them on and give as much feedback as possible. So that's kind of how we know that these are what people want because of the amount of feedback that we've gained on them, but we have not done any sample sales. And this launch that we're talking about is going to be the first time that we're going to have other people wearing and purchasing our clothing.
Yep. And I pulled up some of our financials, and these are our projections for this year.
Question. How did you talked about the work from home set, how did the change with COVID and people working from home, what are specific things that you had to adapt because of that new reality? And then how do you envision, if actually people start going back to work, how do you envision going back to that?
Great question. So it was a couple of months ago when we're looking at our top blazer and pant collection, and Zoe and I looked at each other and we're like, something's not right here. Women are not wearing pants. No one's going into the offices. And so we put our pant development on hold and immediately pivoted to just selling our top and blazer. And for a lot of our marketing purposes, we had a video shoot yesterday and a photo shoot last week. We had women in a top, our blazer, and sweatpants. So that is how we're promoting this work from home idea. However, we do know that the world eventually will get back to normal. So we've already started our development for our pants. So we plan to launch those soon, as we know eventually people will go back to the office. And I think some trends that we have picked up on in terms of work from home and professional attire, that even going forward, there will be less people in the office on a day-to-day basis. But that being said, the times that you do go into the office, you'll be expected to dress even more professionally because your presence in the office will be more important or more valued by your team members. So we don't see that professional attire is going away anytime soon.
And Ashlyn?
Hey, ladies, and I do know I owe you a blog post. Listen, I promise you, if I show you my notebook, it's at the top of that list.
So good.
So a couple of questions. One, have you thought forward past, let's assume you start selling, and if you have a 6-week window of how long it takes to make the product, of if there's a lot of demand, how you ramp that production up a little quicker, because these days so many people they want to have it, et cetera, especially younger people. And then second, have you thought any about after the pandemic, when people do go back to work? I'm sort of thinking that yes, professional attire is clearly, it's not going to go away, but I think the styles tend to be shifting a little bit into a more relaxed professional style, especially for women. So I'm just wondering if you're kind of thinking forward there.
For sure. So I'm not going to get up and fully model for you right now, but anytime that anyone has put on our blazer, they kind of say that it feels like a cardigan, but it looks like a blazer.
Okay.
So it does have that relaxed look. It's not structured like a normal blazer is. So we don't have any padding in the shoulders, which is just by nature more relaxed, just less structured look. And then in terms of the top, it's not super fancy. I would say it's pretty it's simple and functional, and that's what's great about it. But it's not necessarily something would be extravagant. It is pretty relaxed. But the blazer especially, it is a more relaxed look. There's no button So it does have that a little bit more of that young casual feel. And we do see that as a trend as well. So we have been keeping that in mind as we're making our designs.
And something also that we have kept in the back of our minds when designing these products are that although they're for professional settings, like it's very trendy now to like wear a blazer with jeans or to wear like a nicer top with more casual bottoms. And so we do want these pieces to be taken like from the office to beyond.
One other question. When you have a customer with one set, how do you kind of expand the lifetime value of that customer after that first purchase? You spent all the money to get them.
Yes, great point. So we are already starting production for more product offerings. And I think the biggest thing that's holding us back is at this point capital. So like today's prize would do so much for us in order to continue the development of products. We have sketches and ideas for dresses, skirts, different colorways, but this is our MVP. It's taken us a lot of fundraising efforts to get to this point, and we want to continue to expand, but really just like getting the capital to do that development is the only thing that's stopping us.
And in terms of the transition from the work from home set, like every time someone has put on our blazer, they say this is the most comfortable blazer I've ever put on. And not as many people have seen our pants just because we did put that development on pause. But the first time that Jessica and I put on the pants, we said, these are so comfortable, they feel like sweatpants. So if everyone's saying that about our blazer, it would be hard to think that they wouldn't say the same thing about our pants. And that would be a great way to say, well, you love our blazer and come get our pants. And if you love the whole set, then why don't you come get it in every color? And like, there's a sense of trust that I think our customers will have for us, just given like what we've seen so far with people testing out our products, that we think that people will love it and want to come back and have it in every color and every style, just because of like the quality and the comfort and all of those other aspects.
Yeah, they sound so great. I want to wear them.
John, I saw you came off mute.
Yeah. Could you two talk about a time that y'all disagreed on a significant business decision, at least initially, and tell me how you kind of worked through that? What's y'all's system for conflict?
That's really interesting. I mean, I think that probably fabrics, I would say. Fabric is really hard to deal with. We didn't quite expect that, and we kind of touched on it a little bit in the beginning when we in our pitch when we were talking about like things that we've learned. But I think that there are certain things that, I mean, with fabrics, we didn't know how to do it. So it was like a kind of a debate of, do we figure this out on our own? Do we hire somebody and outsource it? And that would be one of the things that I would think of that we.
Well, so how do you resolve it? So who wins the argument?
So I would say I was leaning toward like, I think we can figure out this fabric sourcing process on our own. We were ordering swatches, and Zoe had read about a consultancy that helps with fabric consulting. So we were going back and forth about that. And I think the way that we kind of dissolved the situation was we did a little bit of both. So we tried to do it on our own, and we have monthly like feedback sessions with each other every first of every single month. It's on our calendars. We know we're giving each other constructive feedback, and we become very good friends through this business. But I think we're able to maintain a really great professional relationship where we're able to have disagreements and go back and forth. And we ended up hiring the consultancy, and I was very happy with that decision, but we did try a little bit on our own first.
We tried a lot on our own first, I would say. And I think every time, if we have different ideas for a way to approach a situation, usually and sometimes we end up doing both, just because it's the best way. And like, as long as we're not wasting time and as long as we're learning doing both ways, then it's worth our time, we believe.
Cool.
Got it. All right. Well, Zoe and Jessica, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So judges, let me introduce Eduardo Gonzalez of Music City Sanitizing Services, and he goes to Elon University. Eduardo, kick it off.
All right, so my name is Eduardo Gonzalez, and I'm going to talk to you today about Music City Sanitizing Services, my company. So, about me. So I'm a general engineering major at Elon University. I have a facility management background as I worked a facility management job in high school, and I'm very leadership oriented as I'm the president of club soccer at Elon University. So a little bit about my experience. So in the summertime of going into junior year, I was planning on studying abroad, but I didn't have the capital to study abroad, and my parents wanted me to build that capital. And so because of that, I had an internship that I had from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. every day. And then after that, I started working for a company called Tackle. It was a new company where the software where you would do manual labor. It was very time consuming, but it did teach me a very good work ethic. So I would go from my 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. internship. And then right after that, to make more capital, I would do these manual labor jobs such as landscaping, getting my hands dirty, rototilling, everything like that. So, and then, so in this software Tackle, you got to see a lot of jobs that popped up, and a lot of jobs were moving jobs, but we didn't have either the car to do it, a truck, or a trailer. And so because of that, my friend, my partner, who's Ethan, and I'm Eddie, so that's why it's E&E, we decided that, well, maybe we'll look around for a trailer. So we went on Facebook Marketplace and we were looking for different trailers, anything like that. And we found a good trailer in Spring Hill, but we didn't have the right car or the right means to actually, use the trailer. And we didn't have the money to actually go to a mechanic and get a hitch installed. And so we had to do it ourselves. And we actually looked up a lot of videos and stuff like that and installed the hitch ourselves, went to Spring Hill and got the trailer and started doing moving jobs. So we invested in our own equipment and would go to my internship and then right after work on E&E landscaping and moving. And we organized and planned moving jobs through the Tackle software. And this helped me save up a lot more money for study abroad. So a little bit about my story is that I got the capital to go study abroad. And all through the fall, I had the money. And in January 2020, I began studying abroad in Barcelona with friends. And as you can see from this picture, I felt like I was on top of the world. I was going through Europe, traveling for 5 weeks. And then after about 3 weeks, I hear something about COVID. And I was like, this COVID thing, it seems bad, but I think we'll be fine with our study abroad. And so a couple weeks pass after that, and slowly but surely we get sent home because of COVID, and our program is canceled, and we're told to go home and quarantine. And so I remember one specific instance, and it was a walk that I had. So that was a really all-time low for me. And I'll say that my study abroad had just gotten canceled. I had just gotten broken up with. My girlfriend broke up with me and said that she was with someone else. All my 4 internships were canceled for the summertime due to COVID. And I had a third year's materials engineering exam the next day in a language that I had no idea how to speak. It's Catalan, and I speak Spanish, but it's a French dialect of Spanish. And so it's 2:30 a.m. My Google Docs isn't even translated in Catalan to English or Spanish. And so I decided, I just need to go for a walk. And I walked the streets of Barcelona. This picture actually explains it very well. For 2.5 hours, 2:30 to 5 a.m. Just thinking like all-time low, like I'm facing adversity. What am I gonna do? And I decided, the problem is that right now we have over 25 million cases of COVID, and deaths have reached over 400,000. But we did know that it lived on services for up to 3 days. On top of this, I did some research, and 7.65% of time is lost due to sick absence and presence in the workplace. And that's over $1,600 per employee lost on average for each business. And so the questions that I asked were, well, how will services be properly and thoroughly sanitized to protect customers and employees from getting COVID, among other viruses? And how can businesses maximize returns for employees not to get sick, especially during COVID? And so I go back to Nashville, get there, and actually a family friend has a facility management company. He was talking about this new and advanced technology called electrostatic spraying, and that what they're using to sanitize their various spaces, their customers. And so with an engineering background, with facility management experience, with all this capital saved up, my 4 internships canceled, thinking, what am I gonna do? I found a solution. It was Music City sanitizing services. Essentially what we do is we go into facilities and rid them of any viruses or bacteria using a new and advanced technology called, well, you guessed it, electrostatic spraying. So a little bit of pre-launch work. So I get back to Nashville and I'm working DoorDash and Postmates every day, 3 hours a day. But that was in the afternoon. So in the mornings, I would do researching, sanitizing, CDC recommended protocols, because I was introduced to this electrostatic spraying. And so I'm doing that. And in April 2020, that's all I do. And then in May, I use all those funds from DoorDash, Postmates, also that capital that I was going to spend in Barcelona, but I couldn't. And I made a brochure, made a business card, and I went out to 10 businesses every day, made a point to do that, and try to talk to the manager, do whatever I could. So I would go to 10 businesses a day, get my map, and that really helped with marketing and whatnot. But anyway, I went to like that full extent to even get Krispy Kreme donuts for my potential clients, in hopes to get some business at least. So that was all of May that I did that. And so in June 2020, we started picking up some traction and we landed our first job. And then slowly we picked more and more traction to today, where we have a manager and 2 employees that work under me, and business is flourishing. So our mission at Music City Sanitizing Services is sanitizing for a safer, healthy environment and maintaining those clean and healthy environments that we were talking about. So here's a little video just so you guys can see. Let me know if you guys can hear this as well. I believe you can, but.
Music City Sanitizing Services wants to give you and your customers the confidence to walk back into your facility virus and bacteria free. And we know that with the COVID-19 pandemic among us, the need for making sure you are taking the right precautions to protect your loved ones is something that is crucial. That is why our trained professionals use electrostatic spraying, a new and advanced CDC recommended technology to best disinfect your space. To complement this, we utilize fast-acting, EPA-registered and eco-friendly solutions to kill viruses and bacteria. Our sanitizing professionals follow CDC recommendations. Scope out your facility before sanitizing. Sanitize high-contact and hard-to-reach surfaces alike. Carry out our effective procedures in short periods of time so that you can get back to work. And apply an EPA-registered and recommended solution. By using Music City Sanitizing Services, you will be able to have your space up and running, knowing that it is disinfected comprehensively and of the highest quality. Now is the time to take this virus head on, as we are all fighting COVID-19. So, if you want to ensure your customers and employees of your clean, healthy workplace and get back on track, call us for a free quote today.
All right, so that's a little bit more about Music City Sanitizing Services. So the competition in Nashville and Middle Tennessee right now. So there are 2 companies that use this CDC recommended sanitizing technology, electrostatic spraying, like I was just talking about, but they don't use EPA registered solution or CDC recommended equipment, such as a hazmat suit. While on the other hand, there are 2 other companies that don't use electrostatic spraying, but do use the CDC recommended equipment and an EPA registered solution. Our market advantage is that we use both and we combine both so that we tailor more to the customer and are able to use these 2, use all CDC recommended protocols.
3
So
minutes.
our clients at the moment, we're in the Nashville airport, but on top of that, we work with Premier Building Maintenance Corporation, among other of these clients. So the challenges I faced. I did not expect that typically there would be 8 different touch points that are typically needed to make a sale. So I did not understand that when I was going to 10 businesses every day. So I felt like, rejection after rejection, like I got like 95, 98% no's. I was just thinking to myself, like, what am I doing wrong? But it really does take 8 different touch points. So I would make phone calls right after, follow up with emails and everything. And slowly but surely it started working the more and more that I did follow up and make those different touch points. So mistakes that I also had was to be prepared with backup equipment and everything. In the daycare, for example, I have a story that I was in daycare an hour and a half away from our headquarters, and only had 1 sprayer, and that sprayer, well, obviously broke. And so because of that, I had to get one of my guys to drive an hour and a half away to come give it to me. But that being said, always have backup equipment, something that's really crucial. I have two backup equipment or two extra sprayers just in case, and I always carry them around. And then also concentrate my efforts more on Music City sanitizing. I think in the beginning, more than Postmates and DoorDash and getting that funding. I think that was something really crucial that I could have spent more time on the company, but I didn't. I was investing too much of that money into Facebook and Google ads instead of one-on-one conversations with different like-minded entrepreneurs. So like I said, like keys to success were connecting with like-minded entrepreneurs. And also like, I'll say that the months that I was in Nashville, we saw a sustained spike in revenue. And that was because business meetings were weekly in person instead of on Zoom, which is a little bit harder. On top of that, more marketing was done. And you can see the monthly revenue. I was here in November, December, in Nashville, November, December, and July. So. And the financials, we're at over $57,000 in total revenue at the moment, and it's just growing rapidly. And so you can see right here. But our team right now, it's me, who's the CEO and founder. We have a business development and lead generation person, and a supervisor and operations manager. So our mentors, I feel like I have to put my dad because, you know, like it would look bad if I didn't put my dad as a mentor. But also the family friend who has a school facility management company, and a family friend also who's Nelson Remus, who connected me with a lot of those like-minded individuals like I was talking about. So the future, we plan on partnering with different cleaning companies. These are two premier building maintenance corporation, which we already do, Cushman and Wakefield. On top of that, crime scene cleanup is something that we will expand in the future because we do have the sanitizing technology, and I have the knowledge to go and doing that. So doing market research and planning meetings to do that. So, and using those profits to invest in additional equipment. And so you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and here's our website. So yeah. Stop my share.
Sorry. Thank you, Eduardo. I was on mute. So thank you very much. That's a great presentation, great story. So I will hand it over to the judges for up to 10 minutes of questions, if they have them.
I'll start. Excuse me, Eduardo. It sounds like this is a service that obviously has a high customer acquisition cost. 8 touch points is a lot. What thought have you given to a regularity of service, a subscription model, repeat selling to the same group of clientele? Is there any, I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we definitely do have recurring customers at the moment. And I mean, obviously those are the best customers, you know, because they're always weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. That being said, typically we see one-time services. I will say that that's because due to COVID or due to, you know, a workplace needs a sanitizing because they want to save all that money. I mean, $1,600 per employee is a great deal of money, and 7.65% of time lost due to sick absence and presence. And so we would like to see more of recurring customers. That being said, we see more one-time services at the moment.
Tell me a little bit about your vision for this company. You know, were you always kind of desiring to be an entrepreneur and do these types of things, or has this been opportunistic, or, you know, and then where do you want to take it?
I mean, I would definitely say that I have a very entrepreneurial mindset. I mean, you can see it from my past experience with E&E landscaping and moving. I mean, I saw a business opportunity. I mean, there were a lot of jobs with tackle about moving, and I didn't have the capital, you know, to get a hitch installed. So I literally was looking up YouTube videos for hours upon end, trying to understand how to install a hitch on a regular car. And I mean, for me, I would say that I just find a way to do things. I mean, like, it's just like, I feel like a lot of people would kind of give up, you know, and be like, oh, I don't have a truck. I don't have the money to do that. I don't really do that. I'm the type of person that I will work hard and I will make it happen.
Would there be a way to come up with some sort of a protocol that you could recommend with these cleaning companies that you're going to partner with, that might be more than just a regular cleaning, but happen in between when you did the electrostatic cleaning, that might be able to start to develop that recurring revenue?
Yeah, so at the moment, I mean, like I said, we are in the Nashville airport. We do partner with Premier Building Maintenance. And it would be something that would be beneficial. And if I showed these numbers, I think educating more of my clients about these numbers, about the, like I said, like the more than $1,600 per employee of revenue is lost each year. And on top of that, additional amount of time is lost. So I think my vision would be to educate these cleaning companies or whatnot more about the actual facts on how it can affect the businesses that they are cleaning.
And then just one second question. Have you thought beyond COVID? Like, because it seems like right now there are lots of businesses who want to, or who find themselves in a position where they need this kind of cleaning, but about how to position that as you need it, whether we have COVID or not.
Yeah. And I definitely think that everyone, they will always need sanitizing. I mean, like with COVID, obviously it's ramped up. People are much more cautious about it. But that being said, I see us expanding into crime scene cleanup because we can use this sanitizing technology that we understand with the electrostatic spraying. It's just more about the market research about really how to get into those businesses. So that's why I said maybe one-on-one meetings with the coroner's office or police officers to kind of understand what the process is. But we understand the sanitizing technology. And so it's really just trying to get into that market and making those connections.
Thank you.
What are you most excited about in the future?
In terms of Music City sanitizing, I would say the opportunity that I see now that I have the knowledge for electrostatic spraying or whatnot. I mean, it's more like I have some specialty now that I can use into, for example, like I was talking about, like crime scene cleanup. I mean, like it's really cool how you can make those kind of distinctions and see, well, there's another business opportunity after that. And if I get into crime scene cleanup, it just branches out into, you know, a lot more. And so it's really just knowing that specialty and then kind of just, you know, making a small pivot. And then there's so much, I mean, the opportunities are endless after that, in my opinion.
But you'll limit yourself to the Nashville area?
Middle Tennessee area, yes.
Eduardo, we see what you're excited about. What are the threats to the business or the risks that you're worried about potentially keeping this from reaching the potential you want it to?
Yeah, I would definitely say that people not being as aware of the different facts. I mean, like the employee workplace and everything, like being clean, sanitized, and how it helps their businesses. And that's why I was talking about informing like different businesses and making sure that they are aware of the detrimental effects that it can have on their actual business instead of just past COVID.
Got it. Any other questions? No? All right. Eduardo, very good job. Thank you. Thank you very much. Love what you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys and your time.
Let me introduce to you Chima Onwuka from Memphis and Walden University and Grind City Kicks.
So good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank GSEA for having me. And I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to present my business and to also tell you a little bit about myself. So Grind City Kicks, also known as GCK, also known as the People's Brand. Now, I guarantee you by the end of this presentation, you will know why Grind City Kicks is called the People's Brand. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, GCK was started with a combination of the passion for shoes and also the purpose of helping others. So it started with me, voila, the entrepreneur, Chima Onwuka. So my passion or my purpose was into helping others. How did that form? It was started by me dealing with life challenges, me dealing with personal situations, different things that I went through and my personal experiences from a kid to a teen and to a young adult. I realized I went through certain things through me learning about psychology. But also I realized how to overcome these challenges by having this positive and healthy mindset. And I felt like as a person, for me, as the average Joe, I wasn't the smartest person in the room and I wasn't the most talented and most skillful person. So I figured that if I can have this mindset, I can do this I can teach everyone else to have the same mindset. So the closest thing I could think of in a professional setting was counseling. So I pursued a master's in mental health counseling. And then next, I want to have aspirations to have a PhD in psychology to know the human mind and the human behavior on a deeper level. But that wasn't enough for me. I knew if me as an average Joe that, wasn't someone that knew too much about therapy, didn't know about counseling, somebody's not going to be in your couch, someone that's not going to be in your counseling sessions, how can you grasp the attention of them? How can you inspire them that mental health is important, but also having a positive, healthy mindset can ultimately change your mood, your behavior, and ultimately your lifestyle? So I started inspirational speaking. I really wish I could talk more about inspirational speaking, but I can't. So please refer to the handout that I provided you. Okay, so the mission. Yes, I was working crazy hours, 80 hours a week, 16 hours a day, 5 days a week. Thought that was the formula to be successful. Realized that it doesn't matter how much I work, somebody's only going to pay you what they think you're worth and what they think you are valued at. So this is where my entrepreneur mindset started to erupt. So I wanted to, have a different stream of income. I wanted something to do that matched my personality, but I didn't know what to do. So my business partner at the time presented an idea that, okay, let's just sell sneakers. I see that you're interested in sneakers. I see that you're interested in shoes. You have a lot of shoes. You know about shoes. Let's sell sneakers. I was hesitant at first. In my community, especially, you have the middle school child, the college student, and the 45-year-old adult selling sneakers, and it's easy, and there's a lot of competition for it. And I didn't feel like it was a market for me. But one of my aha moments was I went to this event and this keynote speaker spoke about, if you're going to do something that aligns with your purpose. And that word stuck with me, my purpose. I said, okay. Came back to my business partner at the time. I said, well, if we're going to do this, we have to do something where it's different. We have to make sure it aligns with my purpose into giving back and to helping everybody else, providing smiles and impacting the individuals and families in the community. So that's how we got our mission statement with Grind City Kicks. Okay, so we were selling sneakers, sales was good, impacting the community, started getting local exposure. But at the same time, I still felt like we're a mom and pop store. We're still selling shirts out the trunk of our cars and stuff like that. So then I said, okay, how are we going to move more into a business side of things? But we had these supporters, we had these consumers that supported us, that wanted to buy from us, but could not afford these high-end sneakers. So we had sneakers that were sold from $300 to almost $2,000. So I said to myself, okay, what can I do to provide them, to provide more sales for them and to provide more support for us? I thought about one day, I said, okay, this concept, everybody has at least own a t-shirt and has at least have a t-shirt in their home or their household. I said, okay, t-shirt, cheap, easy way to support. And of course it provides brand exposure. From then on out, we started selling t-shirts, jackets, hoodies, joggers, shorts, jerseys, and everything else that you can think of in terms of apparel. Then we started getting our business license, getting our certificates to start moving more like a business and less like a mom and pop. So of course, me always thinking progressive, I said, okay, one of the things that I do is I study CEOs, I study founders, I study other businesses. And of course, I especially keep up with the businesses that's in my lane. And one of the things that they do is sports. Sports not only increased our sales, it not only increased our brand exposure, but it also allowed us to tie back into our mission, which is also helping the community. So a lot of sports organizations and sports clubs that we partner with wanted to give back to the community, wanted to show impact, wanted to volunteer, but didn't know how to. So we provide that lane for them and we give them events, we give them philanthropic ideas, we give them that partnership that they couldn't get anywhere else or they couldn't get on their own. So one of the things that they love with partnering about us is not only they get this amazing customization apparel, but they also get that community side of it. So sales brought that. But at the same time, business was good, sales was growing, everything was going right, but we didn't want to lose the reason why Grind City Kicks made Grind City Kicks, which is our purpose, which is giving back to the community. So we use that same concept into partnerships with sports organizations into the community aspect. So I said, okay, how can we provide the most impact in our community with not just doing it alone? So what we did was we created partnerships and collaborations with other organizations and other businesses in the community to provide an impact. As you can see here on the right of the screen, we partnered with, or we collaborated with American Cancer Society to fight against breast cancer. I wish I could tell you more about that, but due to the time constraint, I can't. So please refer back to your handouts. Thank you so much. Okay, some of the things that we've done in the community, as you can see listed here. And one of the things that I'm really proud of, that GSEA has partnered and worked with over 20 companies and organizations already. Take us some time to look at it. All right. But here's the thing. Again, progressive mindset. Still getting pushback from organizations and businesses to help us impact the community. Wasn't getting donations, wasn't getting funding, didn't get those grants that everybody else got. I says, okay, what are we missing? What is going to help us bridge that gap into helping, to getting that aspect of helping the community? So I said, okay, let's start a nonprofit. That allowed Grind City Cakes to focus more on the sales and more on the business side of things, while the nonprofit still took care of the philanthropic side of things. One of the biggest things that we've done to date, our first project was during the pandemic, is we still went back to that same concept, t-shirts. Everybody has owned or has a pair of t-shirts in their home. So we said, okay, it's the cheapest way, it's the best way to support. Created the t-shirt, called it the COVID-19 awareness t-shirt, has sales, 50% of those proceeds went to victims that were dealing with the COVID-19. So as you can see here, we did a presentation check for one of our local nonprofit community organizations, and we gave them a check for all the proceeds that we got to help them continue doing the work in the community and providing more resources for those that need it. So what makes us different? Of course, 100% e-commerce, 0 brick and mortar. One of the advantages of that is that we save costs on employees and rent, but also another advantage of that is that we don't have overhead costs and inventory. This was especially important last year during 2020 of the pandemic. A lot of retail sales dropped drastically, but e-commerce rose. People were losing their jobs, people were staying at home, but they're still buying shirts, they're still buying sneakers. So we had one of our biggest years last year. Also, what we do is we have third-party manufacturing and wholesalers, locally, nationally, and globally. So we meet the needs of every client and every consumer. Whether you want your packages within 2 to 3 days, or whether you want customization work. So that allows us to, if we wanted to have a GSEA jersey and customize and have GSEA with different colors and different organizations on it, we could. So one of the things that I wanted to establish with our brand and our business, that we didn't want to
3 minutes.
We didn't want to cater to a specific customer or consumer. That we wanted to branch out and make sure that anybody was able to support, anybody was able to wear our t-shirts, anybody was able to get our apparel. And then our philanthropic side, that we didn't have a specific niche. If we wanted to give back to one community that has a specific need, we can do the same thing for another community. But most importantly, what we wanted to still grasp, what we wanted to make us real different, is our outstanding customer engagement. With being 100% e-commerce, consumers feel like they don't know who they're buying from, or they don't know who they're talking to. So one of the things that helped us is our purpose, going back to that same purpose, our community engagement, our community involvement, that giving back, that volunteerism and all that stuff. That when you see a Grind City Cakes on your chest in the streets and in the community, you say, oh, that's the business that I'm buying from. That is the business that I support. So this is some of the things that we've been on: magazines, radio, articles, local news, and radio stations. So what's next for Grind City Cakes? Well, we are a B2C business model, but we want to branch into the avenue of B2B, selling to other businesses, especially the startups and the new companies and the new businesses, because at one point we were just like them. So we feel like we had the opportunity to sell to them at a lower cost than other wholesalers in the market. We believe that this avenue and sports can reach a global level, from the tying into sports, that sports is played all over the world, and then of course people wearing apparel in different parts of the world as well. Also, we want to create an app, so make it more accessible to our consumers, because what drives the market now is that middle school kid and that college student, and either them buying it and purchasing on the app, or them influencing their parents to purchase an apparel or a sneaker on the app. So we want to make it an app that is accessible to everybody's smartphone. And then a little hint: GCK has their first manufactured shoe that is coming out this month But I don't want to tell you too much about that on record. Please follow all the social media pages and stay tuned with the Grind City Cakes website. So I want to thank GCA for having me. I want you to see all the social media that we're a part of. We're being 100% e-commerce. We have to stay engaged. And then a quiz for the judges. Do you know why Grind City Cakes is called the People's Brand? You don't have to tell me the answer. You can just write it down in your paper. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chima. Great job.
No problem.
All right, judges, we will open it up to you for questions.
Want me to take my slides off, I think?
Feel free if you want to. You'll see the judges a little better. You can just stop sharing screen.
Can you talk a little bit about the product, the experience kind of sourcing and then manufacturing the first shoe product and what that's been like?
I knew you were going to ask me that. That's a great question. So what we did was we still related back to that purpose of still tying it back to the community and impacting individuals and families. So we partnered up with a nonprofit organization that actually manufactures shoes. And what they do is 50% or 20%, whatever the number that they agree on, goes back into the community for a cause. So this nonprofit organization has done stuff with leukemia, has done something with breast cancer, different things like that. So we were like, this is perfect. Another community organization from the same city of Memphis, Tennessee, partnered with them. I said, okay, that aligns exactly with our mission. So then on out, we're going to have our first manufactured shoe. Again, please stay tuned, follow our social media page, and go to the contact page. Thank you so much.
Dan?
Chima, you are a high energy guy.
Thank you so much.
It's fun to hear you talk about your business, but it struck me that you're running a business, you're running a nonprofit, you're expanding into different products. How have you maintained focus on the business of the business, the development of the business, the profitability of the business?
So that's a great question. So how I maintain focus of the business, I'm a person that's progressive. I'm always doing research. I'm always staying tuned. I'm always, I guess, per se, quote unquote, my ears to the streets. So what other people, organizations, or businesses that's doing in my lane that they're not doing correctly or they're missing out is what I am focusing more on. Of course, there's other businesses selling shoes. Of course, there's other businesses having apparel. Of course, they're branching out globally, nationally, and locally. But what makes them different? So that's why we stayed with e-commerce. That's how we were 100% e-commerce. As you can see, Amazon has created their first brick and mortar store. I don't know if anybody's aware of that. But for me, it's okay, there's no advantage of that. Amazon's doing it. I'm not going to speak on the record, but Amazon's doing it for other reasons. It has nothing really to do with their sales. So that's what I do. I stay on my research, I stay in my lane, and I always look at other businesses and what they're doing wrong and the cons and pros of that business.
All right. Any other questions? Ashlyn, you're on mute. Ashlyn, you're on mute. Sorry.
Sorry about that. So do you see your business evolving more as a product or as a brand?
That's a great question as well. I see my business as doing both. Okay. I don't think it's a con or a disadvantage to having. One of the things that I realize is with the brand, it can, per se, just quote unquote for me, it can never go away. That GCK, GCK will never go away regardless of if I have inventory or if I'm producing sales. That GCK, those three letters will always remain there. So with that being said, the brand is still there, and then the business aspect grows because not only we're selling shoes and apparel, we're still in the community. And of course, everybody wants to give back. Of course, other businesses give back for other reasons that I'm not going to disclose. So with that being tied in, I feel like we're always going to sustain and grow progressively.
Thank you. I'm on your website now. I'm in the shopping section.
So Chima,
and all of your shoes are out of stock.
They are. They're selling. So one of the things that we did was instead of continue to produce more shoes of those high resale value, we wanted to make sure that, okay, have the anticipation that this first manufactured shoe is going to come out. let consumers say, okay, when is it the first shoe coming out? When is the first shoe coming out? So we held off on some of the shoes, and we wanted people to wait on that first manufactured shoe. But if they contacted us, that's what I do through my social media page. If they contacted us, whatever shoe they wanted, they can get if they ordered it. So yes.
What kind of revenue have you had so far?
So in terms of specific numbers?
Or ballpark?
So last year was our highest year in 2020. So we had over, I'm gonna just say over $100,000 in revenue.
And that was all product sales?
That's all product sales, yes, sir.
Chima, you have your man of many talents. So it sounds like you're on the inspirational speaking circuit. You have Grind City Kicks. You're going to go get a PhD. Are there other entrepreneurial ventures that you're looking to jump into? And this is just kind of the one for right now you're talking to us about? What's kind of
that is a great question. I think about that question, I think every day. For me, in terms of, building up a brand or a business, maybe not, but I can never say never. All the things that you see here, I would have never guessed in five years ago. If you had asked me, you will start a brand, you will start a business, you'll do a nonprofit, you'll do inspirational speaking. Inspirational speaking for me was scary. When I tell you, had panic attacks, chest pains, hands start getting sweaty, headaches. That wasn't something that I ever saw myself doing. So with that being said, I want to be an investor though, from the business side of things. I feel like I can help other businesses grow, help them progress. And I feel like as someone that is business minded, I feel like I can be an investor and putting my money into what they're doing and grow, especially from now. Startups, I'm not sure yet.
Are you doing the designs of the shoes and things?
I am part of the team of doing the design. I'm not the head creator of this design, but everything has to go through me before it's approved. So you will love the shoe, trust me.
When's it going to come out?
It's supposed to come out this month, and particularly the significance of this month is why the shoe's coming out this month. So that's a little hint for you.
Okay.
All right, any other questions, judges?
There's a lot of cliffhangers in this presentation.
No doubt.
Can I ask a question? Do I have a chance to ask a question? Okay. Any of the judges want to know, answer the question, the quiz question? Do you know why Grind City Kicks is called the People's Brand? Just take a lucky guess.
I had no idea.
No one?
I mean, it's named after Memphis and shoes, so it's the people of Memphis. It's kind of the namesake.
Well, more of we're giving back to the community. So we're impacting the community, we're impacting families. So it's the people's brand. So we're for the people. We all started from being for the people. We never really started from just selling shoes or selling apparel or even into the sports. We're always about the people. So whatever the people wants is what we give them. That's why it's called the people's brand.
I like
Got it. All right. Well, Chima, thank you very much.
No problem.
And we will see you again at 4:15.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thanks,
judges,
sir.
for having me.
Let me introduce to you Brandon Pierce from Tennessee Tech, and he's here to talk about Pure Legacy.
Hello, my name is Brandon Pierce, and I'm the founder and CEO of Pure Legacy. Today, I'll be showing you our Future Innovators business branch. Now, the Future Innovators is a heartfelt mission for me. My younger brother and I used to take apart anything that no longer worked, and we used to build our own inventions. Now, after issues in college and needing to switch majors, I began to wonder, what was I meant to do? And around that time, I had seen a TED Talk of someone who was only a year older than me. Roughly, I was about the age of 21 at the time, and he had built a company off of one invention. Now, the sad part and the truth of that pain was my grandmother still had the drawing I had made when I was 8 years old for the same idea of something that would collect plastic in the ocean. Now, I say this to say, had my school had different clubs, had I had the guidance and STEM tutoring my company seeks to provide, I may have not faced some of the difficulties in my life. This is why Future Innovators provides STEM tutoring to engage, educate, and advance the skill sets of tomorrow's future innovators. Now, just to explain the style of STEM tutoring we provide, because STEM tutoring is more than math and science. STEM tutoring is developing skill sets for innovation, problem solving, and critical thinking skills. On the left is an example of a mechanical STEM project, which is building mechanical projects that focus on combining small parts to create a large multifunctioning project. DIY STEM is what Future Innovators has incorporated into our learning, and as you see in the middle picture, that DIY STEM project is using cans, popsicle sticks, a battery, an RC motor, and propellers to build a small RC drone. Electronic STEM is combining mechanical projects with coding to use a phone to control it. Now, a little about myself. I'm a business and environmental sustainability major at Tennessee Tech, and once I receive my bachelor's, I will be going back for a second bachelor's in engineer education. I grew up in a different home environment than most students. My dad dropped out of high school to help run his parents' farm and help support them after his 3 older brothers moved out, and he has dyslexia, and in school, teachers just labeled him slow. However, he is a talented mechanic who can rebuild any vehicle, but jobs are amazed at his skill sets, only to overlook him due to not having a diploma. My mom was on her own at 15, working 2 jobs to pay for her own place and save up to get her youngest brother out of a boys' home. She graduated a year after she should have, all because her principal worked with her and understood her circumstances. Now, I come from a really low income family. My parents scraped by making a combined total of $50,000 or less while I was growing up, and my mom works 80+ hours a week at a mentally and physically challenged center for adults. And my father works in a factory while doing odd jobs on the side. Now, throughout college, I have worked 2 jobs to support myself financially ever since I moved out at the age of 18. And after my father's work shut down my sophomore year of college, I lost a $3,000 scholarship, followed by my junior year losing 2 more scholarships totaling $4,000 due to a university FAFSA filing error, and nothing could be fixed. This forced me to go from a full-time student to hardly being able to afford 2 classes a semester out of pocket and in extending my student loans, which prolonged my graduation by 2 years and caused difficulties for me financially. Now, these difficulties were right after my Papa Hardin passed away, and I lost my best friend and struggled to find hope, but I never gave up. My parents' resilience to provide me and my younger brother a better life than what they had motivated me to achieve academic excellence. I'd done this more for them than myself, to show them no matter their past, they had guided me to be successful. I graduated as a Tennessee Scholar, which required extensive academic success by achieving Tennessee State honors and Tennessee State distinctions and having over 80+ hours of volunteer service. I also graduated with 18 dual enrollment credit hours, and later on I received a certification from the state of Tennessee for my academic achievements. Later on into college, I received my associate's degree and graduated cum laude with a 3.6 GPA by the luck of a university to community college transfer program. And in my jobs throughout college, I have been the top 5 sales agent in any position, and this will provide me the necessary skills to advance my company. Now, for our market discovery, by talking to parents, school teachers, researching through the Tennessee Department of Education, and researching tutoring centers, we have learned about some serious issues for STEM education. For parents, private STEM tutoring is extremely costly, and they don't have time to drive back and forth to centers. Now, for our target markets, these centers don't provide the type of STEM tutoring we do, and they are too far away from these rural Appalachian areas. And the public schools, as you will see shortly in our industry outlook, have a problem with low funding to advance STEM education, but also professional development for STEM teachers is insufficient. Royal schools are neglected, and like my hometown, they sometimes have to share equipment and get a short amount of time to use it before it goes to the next school. Even a local university left them out for over 80% of their research for issues with STEM education. And the reason for the Tennessee STEM Innovation Network outreach is because the state seeks to incorporate more university to school partnerships and develop more private partnerships by using the Tennessee STEM classroom grants to provide advancement in STEM education and professional development for current and future STEM teachers. Now, with the Drive for 55 and the desire for Tennessee STEM Innovation Network to provide private partnerships, future innovators can bridge the gap between community, organizations, and STEM education, as well as the gap between Royal Appalachian schools and universities. This is because we hire college students to tutor young students in mechanical, computer, and robotic STEM education by fitting the desire of what projects the student wants to learn. This benefits college students by providing meaningful career experience while allowing both college students a flexible schedule and parents affordable in-home tutoring to suit their time constraints. By hiring college students as tutors, we help fix the problem for the amount of STEM education providers in rural areas. We will expand past private tutoring with our 423 project, and the success will help us create a nonprofit side of our company to provide solutions for free school and local business STEM events, growth of STEM clubs, and academic competitions. Now, looking into the industry, $578 million was invested into STEM education by the U.S. Department of Education. The Tennessee Department of Education invested $700,000 into 89 schools. However, Tennessee has over 1,700 public schools. Now, if you look at the graph titled Tennessee STEM Demographics in our written report, you can see more statistics for the issues like only 37% of Tennessee students meet ACT benchmark requirements for math and science, but it also shows promising statistics like 63% of middle school girls feel empowered by STEM learning. That graph and additional statistics on the slide show evidence that the current domestic supply of STEM workers and future graduates will not meet the nation's workforce needed without serious adjustments. And this proves the opportunity present in Tennessee for my company to be successful because it's a personnel shortage, not a skill set shortage. But let's take a deeper dive into the opportunity for success that my company can achieve. STEM is the 5th fastest growing occupation in the South, and Tennessee will see an 18% job growth in STEM occupations. And this is why the state has a goal to become one of the top 25 states for STEM education, in which provides a value proposition behind our affordable STEM tutoring and our nonprofit after-school programs for solutions we seek to provide. Now, Tennessee has 95 counties with over roughly 1 million students ages 1 to 14. We included the ages of 1 to 4 to show how over time we will have a constant market access growth. Our focus for the next 2 years will be on the 2 counties that you see in the written report, and to grow to 5% of the total available market in Tennessee, and which shows a potential of roughly 12 million in revenue for our STEM tutoring services, and with a potential of 50 million in revenue if we gain access to 20% of the total available market in Tennessee. At this scale of growth, for even 5% statewide, we will undergo serious business development. However, our main priority for the next 2 years will be focused on the 2 counties, which is listed in the written report for our financial focus. But if you look at our competitor comparison in Tennessee, we are the only company that provides STEM tutoring in Royal Appalachian areas. We are more affordable than Wisent, which is a website that tutors showcase their service for STEM tutoring, but they do not have STEM tutors that provide service in rural areas. And the largest company, Sullivan Learning in Tennessee, does not provide the type of STEM tutoring that we do in any of their locations, and their college prep services are too expensive. And we are the only company who seeks to host school events and academic competitions. Now, we have a lot to be proud of as a young company. In September 2019, we launched Pure Legacy after receiving the Will Klaus Entrepreneur Award and 11 Forbes 30 Under 30 nominations. Then in August 2020, we completed the Launch Tennessee Student Business Mentorship Program, and the guidance from the panel competitions provided a better understanding for how we needed to take our company to the next level after our initial focus did not work out like we thought it would for Pure Legacy. Now, we transitioned our focus towards the Future Innovators branch after this difficult time. And in November, we completed our first STEM tutoring project as our initial assessment research. Then our strides and accomplishments and the 2 news articles led to our first TV interview with Daytime Tri-Cities on January 28th. And as of yesterday, we received an invite from Tennessee STEM Innovation Network for an introduction meeting that resulted from emails and a voicemail I left earlier this week inquiring about potential partnerships for the 4 STEM events we will be planning for local businesses in my hometown who have reached out after the TV interview. Now, going forward, to gain market entry for our tutoring and college prep services, plus our plans to partner into local school systems with universities, we plan to do the following. For the rest of February through March, we plan on finding 5 new students to provide free STEM tutoring to and hiring more interns. That way we can grow our research for our one-on-one tutoring in various types of STEM projects mentioned earlier, in which I will personally tutor 2 kids for the parents I've connected with in Knoxville. And we will seek out guidance from education professors and the Tennessee STEM Innovation Network for the right strategies and methods for our tutoring services and future STEM events. In April, we will launch a GoFundMe campaign and use the traction provided by our plans for a local change roundup at local businesses to fund academic competitions and our future STEM events. In May, we will look to expand into the other county illustrated in our written report under market opportunities, which is the county for Tennessee Tech University. Then in June through July, we will submit grant applications with letters of intent we receive from businesses, universities, and state organizations to be used for funding the development of our first after-school program for STEM education in Carter County. Now, we will achieve our goals because we have a team motivated to see our vision through and see future innovators just like I do, as something they wish they could have been a part of before college. And my co-founder is my cousin Tiffany, who graduated with a bachelor's in early childhood development. And we also have other interns like Jordan, who you've seen in the second slide, providing STEM tutoring, and he's an international engineer student from Jamaica. Now, we have sought out guidance as well from the Launch Tennessee Student Business Mentorship Program, which led to connecting with Sean Glinter, who is a successful serial entrepreneur, and outside his own company, he's also on the board of Life Science TN and BioTN. And we have also received guidance since 2019 with 2 business professors who had their own success with companies they built and sold, and Dr. Josephine McQuell, who is our education advisor and has an extensive list of education, university, and organization accomplishments. Now, thank you for your time and this wonderful opportunity to present. I am Brandon Pierce, founder and CEO of Pure Legacy, and I invite you to take this journey with us for developing tomorrow's future innovators, so more kids can smile like this one when they complete projects.
Great job, Brandon. Thank you. That was a great story, and really love hearing what you're doing.
Thank
you.
So
we'll take that opportunity, kick it over to the judges for questions.
Brandon, can you explain a little bit about kind of the economic model of, it sounds like there's tutors, there's events. Are you charging a portion of the fee, or how are you kind of doing that?
So for the private tutoring, we charge $30 an hour with a goal of about a 3-hour session for each session. We pay our college interns $10 an hour. We're also taking in consideration that as we grow, we will have to find compensation plans for gas. Most people do travel 30 minutes to an hour for, a job typically, but these are going to be college students driving a decent distance. So we're looking into better financial models as we grow. For the STEM events, one of the businesses that has reached out to us does want us to charge $5 while we use their the upper floor of their coffee shop, so that way we can gain traction and revenue for future events. Later on into like school events, with a school in Cookeville that we connected with, we're going to do free events, so that way we can go into individual classrooms, which works out perfect for COVID, and do different types of STEM modeling. We will adjust as we grow, but right now we're just really focused on getting the right traction moving forward.
Thank you.
So when you went through that kind of business transition after your experience with Launch Tennessee, or sort of alongside with it, can you kind of walk me through what that sort of just felt like for you as the entrepreneur, and then sort of how you dealt with the process of letting go of a past model and implementing a new one?
Yeah, so in 2018, I started the idea of this technology that's overseas that is meant to educate people on the ability for different types of renewable energy. It was to kind of start out our company with getting that inventions in, local towns, local schools, and universities. And I spent all of 2019, I met with 4 sustainability directors. I basically had 4 notebooks, making sure I understood the research, just for when I transferred to Tennessee Tech, for them to want to go forward with the project. They said, set up a meeting with the company and so you can learn more. Then I met with a financial director who was different than the one we first met with. And they had said, basically, they had to refund 3 different companies the money because the previous financial director was misrepresenting the potential of returns on revenue for energy production. And I had a phone call with Sean afterwards, and it was devastating. Like, he told me, he said, this is the moment where you got to learn as an entrepreneur. Do you just throw away, or do you try and figure out where to go from here? Now, back in earlier the year, when COVID first hit in March, I had planned on entering Future Innovators into a business competition just to kind of build up while we were focusing on the main thing. So luckily, I had been thinking ahead for the next steps after that technology. And even though it was devastating of all the work, it really showed me that the first initial thought of my business was more financial focused. With this, it was the heartfelt focus of something that I really wish I would have had. And so it hurt, but now it's just made it more to where that one child that we've tutored is worth more than anything.
Brandon, do you find that trying to reach into these rural areas that even your affordable prices are a reach for some people? And are you looking for ways to have other people help fund that for them that still allows you to make money?
Yeah, coming from that low income background, I understand the difficulties. You know, some parents may have difficulties to where their home environment isn't the best to go into, or they might be a single parent who, you know, only makes 10 an hour. And so $30 an hour, you know, is quite a bit. So just kind of talking with different interns and, you know, looking into different models, we've also looked into the potential of people in the community funding a, you know, sponsor me type thing for a child that is really wanting the STEM education. But that's also why we wanted to look into the after school programs, you know, potentially doing with like Boys and Girls Club, so that those kids that may not be able to afford that or might not have the best home environment still has that opportunity. And as we grow, we can see of different ways for having sponsorships for kids to get private tutoring in which their parents may not be able to afford it.
Okay, thank you.
Brandon, two quick questions. First, you bring a unique perspective to an important problem, so I thank you for that. I can appreciate the challenges of trying to deliver this service in a rural area, and I think sort of piggybacking on what Ashlyn was asking, scaling your services into online delivery, that seems a logical approach, but there is also rural connectivity problems. What options do you see to scale low cost this business into low income areas? I'm curious, number one. Question number two is I did see on your deck STEM kits, and is that another revenue stream?
So if I'm trying to remember here, so the first one for trying to scale, like Ashley mentioned, online for STEM mechanics, so like building the video as you've seen would not really be the best thing, you know, through Zoom, because it's really a hands-on thing. Now, computer style STEM learning is something that can be done online. We've actually have a intern that has made a PC gaming system to where kids can play to learn programming as something that could potentially turn into an additional revenue model. With Tennessee STEM Innovation Network wanting to partner universities into schools, in addition to after school programs in, you know, local elementaries, there's the chance of doing that at universities and kind of going into different programs. But that's the reason we looked into those businesses. So that way we can try and create an access to where there's different options for parents and students to get involved. Additional revenues, for example, you know, that computer system, you know, we look to potentially even sell like our own DIY made STEM projects just for people that may want to do it for fun. I'm very creative with different things. And when COVID was really causing an issue to finding more students, I actually took a bunch of plants. I have a serious plant hobby. I went downtown Knoxville and started selling plants to be able to purchase STEM kits, because I'm working 2 jobs to pay for my stuff financially. And I had to think outside the box. But behind it, the message to selling those plants was, hey, you know, kids can not only use everyday items at home to build these STEM kits, you can also show them how to make, you know, flower pots out of bottles that have draining systems. And I've probably got a little bit lost on the question, but we have a lot of different plans, not to kind of go into any areas, really to have the right plans for parents that can afford it, but also have additional revenue streams and options to help us be able to obtain profit margins and not go under.
Thanks, Brandon. Please meet Brianna Davis from Vanderbilt. She's here to talk to you about shades. Go ahead, Brianna.
So I'm Brianna. I attend Vanderbilt. I'm a computer science major and I'm the founder of Shades. And today we're going to be talking about the $500 billion beauty industry. I want you to imagine for a minute that it's the night before your senior prom. You go online and you buy all of this makeup. You have a hair appointment booked, the nicest dress picked out, the whole 9 yards, because you want to be the best looking person there. The night before you go and do a trial on with your makeup, you look in the mirror and you look like this. Okay, you look like this. Nobody wants to look like this at their senior prom. So let's imagine for a second that I had some way of trying this lipstick on before I bought it to see that it had just looked this bad on me and that I could have picked out a color that would have looked better and looked like this. So this image is produced from our software, and this lipstick in the image is the same lipstick that I'm wearing right now. So a little bit more about buying makeup. It's very hard to find makeup in store. One makeup company can have 50 different foundation shades, and you spend all of this time swatching it on your skin to hopefully get one that looks good. And that's just one company. Now imagine that you're doing this online and you're just comparing your skin to a computer screen, hoping that you get the right product in the mail. Or you can compare yourself to the model that's in the photo, but if they look different from you, then the product might not look the same. Take this lipstick, for example. This is the same lipstick on both me and my friend, but it looks like two completely different lipsticks. So how do we know what version of this lipstick we're getting when we buy it online? We don't, and for that reason, I decided to create shades. We're making sure that people get the right look, always, and we're helping makeup companies sell more makeup, as well as reduce the cost associated with returns from products that don't work. So we are a SaaS service, so we want to integrate our software directly into these makeup companies' websites, so users, as they scroll through the website, can just see these products show up on their face. On the back end, after they upload their photo, we run image analysis, facial recognition, and are using machine learning to make sure that we give as accurate as a look as possible. This is our website right now, and it's used for us to show what we want our product to look like when integrated into these makeup companies' websites. And additionally, in the next few weeks, we are launching a website coded completely by ourselves so that we can allow people to make accounts and upload their photos and see what they would look like with these products that we have, so we can get feedback to make our software even better. So who are we? I'm Brianna Davis, like I said, computer science major and go to Vanderbilt. I'm also the CEO and founder. I work on both the front end and the back end of the software, as well as the business side. This is Jonah Buchanan. He's the CTO. He also goes to Vanderbilt and is also a computer science major, and he works primarily on the back end. We were once classmates our sophomore year, and now we're business partners. So our business plan. We have a dual revenue stream business plan where we want to license our software with a yearly contract and charge an overhead cost per product sold from directly using our software. So pretty much what that means is that if someone buys a product directly after looking at the photo that our software produces, we will get a small portion of that profit. Additionally, we want to have a flexible plan so that we can work with companies of all different sizes instead of being limited to companies in just a specific range. So some people that we're looking at to be our early adopters are companies like The Beauty Bakery, Lip Tinted, and Sugar Pill. And the three main reasons why we would want companies like these to be our early adopters is because they have a large emphasis on diversity, large shade ranges within their products, and they have a large online presence. So diversity and large shade ranges are important because with diversity and large shade ranges, it can be very hard to find what product works best for you. And with them having an online presence, that means that a lot of their customers are most likely younger and would be more open to using our software in the beginning compared to other customers who might want to see how it works a little bit in other places before actually trying it on themselves. So the market. In 2019, the beauty industry made $505 billion worldwide. Additionally, in 2019, the online beauty industry within the United States made $127 billion. Our goal in a few years is to acquire about 2% of the market, giving us a size of $2.5 billion. We plan to do this by working with smaller companies and then working our way up to larger companies. We also think now is a really good time to do this because, COVID aside, many celebrities and influencers are creating their own makeup lines, many of which have large offerings online or less offerings in store, which has been driving more traffic to online makeup shopping. Additionally, with COVID, shopping in store and trying on makeup specifically in store is not a part of our current normal and might not be the same for a few years. And so a lot of companies within the space need to innovate their online presence if they want to keep up with the market in the industry. And we think that our software is a great way for them to do that. So our main competition is ModiFace, and the main difference between us and ModiFace is that they were bought by L'Oreal a few years ago, and we do not want to buy or to sell to just one company. We want to be able to have control over our software and be able to work with companies of all different sizes. Additionally, some other competition that we have are social media sites such as Snapchat, Instagram, and YouTube, or other platforms that have that have at one point implemented some sort of AI beauty filter. And the main difference between us and them is that one, we do not want to be our own standalone app or website. We want to integrate into these makeup companies' websites so that we can be a part of the user journey that's already associated with makeup instead of having to create a new user journey. Additionally, we're not just overlaying a stock beauty filter onto everyone, we're actually taking analysis of the image with the color of the product to make sure that it looks unique to how it will look on that person, because as we've seen earlier, one product might not look the same on everybody. So some traction that we've had, we've raised $5,300 in grants through programs offered through Launch Tennessee and the Vanderbilt Wondery. And some of that grant money was used to attend a virtual trade show where we were able to start to make connections within this industry. We are a top 10 finalist at the Peter Farrell Cup, which is an ideas competition hosted in Sydney, Australia. And we've gone through Y Combinator Startup School, which has given us more tools to further shades. So what's the big picture? Right now, we're trying to raise capital as well as continue development, and raising capital will help speed up development as well as help us to patent our technology so we can protect it and also cover any other costs that we run into. Within the next few years, even though we do want to start with smaller makeup companies, we do want to work our way up to some of the industry leaders. One example is P&G, who is very big in the beauty personal care space. And then in the future, we want to be able to expand our software to other industries, such as the healthcare and dental industries, because we feel like with facial recognition, it would be easy to manipulate to use it within the healthcare and dental industries, as well as we don't feel that there's much there right now. I was talking to my sister who's about to be a resident for oral surgery, and I asked her if she thought that this could be applicable to dentistry, and she said that she thinks it could be because it would help prepare dentists for knowing what someone is coming in with and just prepare before the appointments. So what's our plan to get to the big picture? Within the next 2 months, we want to do user testing so we can use these testimonials to help us in the future, as well as to update our software and make it even better. Then the next 4 months, we want to continue to do pitch competitions as well as finding capital to help speed up development and to help patent our software and just any other costs that we may have. And then within the next 6 months, we want to continue to build partnerships with companies that we've already talked to, as well as build partnerships with new companies. So around the 6-month mark, we can be integrating our software into these websites and seeing how their customers feel about it and get the feedback to keep growing. So what makes me and Jonah special enough to make Shades be successful? Just like I'm holding the cat in this photo, we are able to juggle the responsibility of Shades with our schoolwork. I've mentioned earlier that we are both computer science majors, but a lot of the technology that Shades uses is not information that we've learned in class. So we've had to take a lot of time outside of class to learn about the information and then apply it to Shades itself. Additionally, some of the pitch competitions that I have done have added a lot of added hours to my already heavy course load. And I had to balance doing those programs and doing the work for them, as well as doing my schoolwork, which was a big risk, especially for my grades. But I thought that it was very important to do this because I do care about Shades. And also it helped me develop the time management needed to continue to take Shades further. Just as Jonah's standing with this 100 sign, we're willing to put 100% of our effort into making Shades successful. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur ever since I was younger. I've had ideas such as selling products on eBay to the virtual dressing room. So Shades is something that I'm very passionate about and I want to see to fruition. And Jonah very likes development a lot, and he cares about artificial intelligence and facial recognition, and he thinks this field is just very cool. So for him, he wants to see Shades become successful because he wants to see this technology come to life. So that's what makes us capable to continue Shades and to make it be successful. I hope you'll join us on the journey as we take people from looking like this to this and making sure they get the right look always. Thank you.
Wonderful, Brianna. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So wonderful presentation, great idea. And now I will throw it over to the judges for questions.
Brown, I had a question. I had written off in the margin here Snapchat filters because it struck me as being very similar. And then you presented Snapchat as a potential competitor. Do you see barriers to entry? You mentioned a patent application. How do you intend to protect and grow this space for your business?
I think as we continue to develop the software, we want to see how we are different and then meet with like a patent lawyer so they can help us with the process of patenting, because we're definitely exploring the technology in new ways than we've seen before that's like been used by companies like Snapchat and stuff like that. So we think that just continuing our development and seeing how exactly we can make it different will definitely help us grow within this industry, even though there already are some things similar.
Have you talked with some existing customers, and what has been the feedback from them?
So I've talked to people who wear makeup at my school. I've done interviews with them to see the problems that they have with buying makeup online. And a lot of them said that they're often very hesitant to buy online because they don't know what it will look like. I've also started reaching out to companies to talk to them. And I've heard that like with COVID, they've seen a lot of sales decreasing than with in person because people can't try on the makeup, and companies that have like some sort of online app to like try to help visualize makeup or just like have some person who's able to help you through the app have seen improvement with their sales during this time. So I have gotten some feedback that shows that this is a problem within the industry and needs to be fixed.
Brianna, I have a couple of questions. For your revenue model, do you think it's going to be more driven by subscriptions to the software or by payments from people purchasing products? I'm not sure how that stacks up. And then have you thought about doing sort of a standalone, or do you think there's a need for, in say, department stores or places where they have makeup counters, given what's gone on in the last year, that whole business may not ever come back in the same way in terms of people sitting down and sticking their fingers in makeup. And so have you thought about those?
Wait, can you repeat your first question again?
The first question was your business model. Do you,
okay.
Is most of it driven by the software or by purchases?
I think most of it will be driven by licensing. I think it's going to be 75% of like the yearly contracts and then 25% of the like getting that overhead cost from people buying it. Because I think sometimes like I think it might be helpful, but I think sometimes people will just like scroll through the product photos. So it might be in some cases like a game to see which one they land on. So I think it'll mostly be the licensing. And then I definitely would like to think about doing some in-person stuff in the future. One other standalone thing that I've thought of is after we have this developed and after we're working with companies, kind of creating an app that's like almost like a makeup playground that could be marketed towards makeup artists and people who can like do looks on like a picture of their customer beforehand and know what products aren't going to look good and will look good. So once they get there, they don't end up having a moment where it turns out really bad. So I definitely would love to consider in store in the future, and then also maybe consider that.
Thank you.
Throughout this process that you've gone through of kind of interviewing end users as well as the enterprise clients, what was something that surprised you the most as you've gone through that experience?
I think one thing that surprised me in the beginning that I didn't really know about is that sometimes there's more discounts to buy makeup online than in store. And so that's like a really huge incentive to drive people online, but people are still very hesitant because they don't always know how it looks. So I think that was one really big thing that surprised me.
You said you always kind of wanted to be an entrepreneur. Why? What's the drive?
I don't really know what the drive is. I think I've always just wanted to work for myself. And so as a kid, I would watch Shark Tank every single Friday religiously. And then as I got older, I came up with different ideas. And so then once I came up with Shades and I started working on it, I was like, yeah, I really like, this is my dream and I want to put as much work into it to make it become a reality.
Who would you want to invest in you from Shark Tank?
Probably Mark. I like Mark.
Got it. Thanks, Brianna. Any other questions? Wonderful job. Thank you, Brianna. Let me introduce to you Ian Hill from Duke University, and he's here to talk to you about Menta.
It began with a donut, a freshly fried, mouth-watering Krispy Kreme. It was their appeal that drove me to wake up at 6 a.m. sharp every day for 3 months straight. 15 minutes after 6, I'd be on my bike, pedaling as fast as I could through Wisconsin winter. My friend would be waiting, his rusty old Schwinn at the ready, and we'd bike the 5 miles of farmland to Quick Trip, load our packs with dozens of Glazers, and be at school by 7. A horde of 11-year-olds would be waiting for us at the door. $1 a donut, we were out of stock by 7:15. Just enough time to pocket the proceeds and make it to class. That was my first business, and we made out like bandits. You see, we had recognized a supply and demand problem that boiled down to pure logistics. 6th graders are at the mercy of cafeteria food, and they don't carry Glazers at DC Everest Middle School. Instead of spending an hour on the bus, we spent the same amount of time riding our bikes to pick up and deliver donuts to our peers. Not only were we heroes, but the ROI was 3x and the opportunity cost negligible. With the central Wisconsin donut resale market in my pocket at age 11, it's not surprising that I'm here today. While my first venture might all have been just to spite my mother, a health nutrition educator, and most of the proceeds went to building model rockets with my brother in the backyard, the joy of selling donuts lit a spark that has developed into a burning passion for innovation and entrepreneurship. My name is Ian Hill. I'm a PhD candidate at Duke University and co-founder of Menta. I wear both of those hats to further a singular mission, to revolutionize the healthcare supply chain. So how did I go from donuts to healthcare? Well, I realized the power of entrepreneurship is a vehicle to create sustainable change, and healthcare needs change. After graduating with a Bachelor's of Science in Mechanical Engineering from University of Wisconsin, I was accepted into a PhD program at Duke University. My only career goal at that point was to achieve a position where I could bring an idea from conception all the way to productization. And the Brain Tool Laboratory enabled that goal. Headed by Dr. Patrick Codd, the BTL exposes engineers to clinical environments to drive innovative solutions to problems in healthcare. The first month of my studies was spent almost entirely in scrubs, shadowing Pat through his neurosurgery practice. While most first-time observers of surgery focus on the actions of the surgeon, it was everything supporting the surgeon that captivated me. Messes of cords, equipment, and instruments were strewn across tables. Nurses buzzed around searching for requested instrumentation, and if a search was unsuccessful, they would leave the room, only to reappear minutes later with an entirely new tray of instruments. They'd rip the top off, hoping to find the requested instrument, only to realize it was missing or another instrument was contaminated. The whole tray would then get carted out and the search continued. At this point, the tension in the room is palpable because the surgeon is literally waiting with a patient's life in their hands, a life that is counted in minutes, not years. It astounded me that the most precise expression of human action could be surrounded by such a chaotic and haphazard support system. There was no way in my mind that the chaos of this supply chain could accurately provide for the needs of the surgical team. Trying to understand, I surveyed the literature, and what I found reaffirmed what I had witnessed firsthand. 88% of surgeries are delayed. 16% of surgeries are extended due to equipment error. And most astounding, 80%, that's 80% of instruments supplied in an operating room are not used. Why would hospitals spend countless dollars sterilizing, processing, maintaining, and replacing expensive instruments that are not even needed by the people who are supposed to be using them? After hundreds of interviews with stakeholders at all levels of Duke University Hospital, I found my answer. Data. Not just data, but the right data. Data that describes which instruments are used in an operation. Over the following year, I secured grant funding, designed, built, and piloted a system for intraoperative surgical instrument tracking, and refined the system until it could be applied to any surgery without impacting surgical workflow. This is the result. A radio frequency identification system that gathers a time history of instrument use throughout a surgery. RFID tags are seamlessly embedded in surgical instruments, and antennas are placed under drapes to view the surgical site. Throughout the surgery, an RFID reader collects and uploads data to a database for analysis. The system is automated, does not have a user interface, and it simply collects data in the background of surgeries. This platform technology enables a novel data stream that has incredible potential. The plot shown here is a timeline from a CMC arthroplasty operation, or wrist surgery. As the surgeon progresses through surgery, different instruments enter and exit the surgical site, and our system reads them. Each circle is a read. This data can be used to enhance surgical education, enable predictive scheduling, optimize instrument supplies, provide nurses with a forecast of instrument use during surgeries, and be leveraged to train neural networks to localize instruments and analyze surgeon movement. When I saw this result, I recognized the value it could provide to health centers, but not as a research project within Duke. I needed to build products. I needed to build a company, and I recognized I couldn't do it alone. So I called my brother, who previously ran a medical device startup, and I convinced him to help me build Menta. My brother and I have always worked incredibly well together. From building all manner of dangerous contraptions in our backyard as kids, to now building the future of surgical supply management, we work hard, learn quickly, and support each other. With our engineering skill sets and Dr. Codd's clinical background, our founding team knows both the problem and the solution space really well. We also recognize that we have less experience in the areas of business development, so we have sought out several advisors to help guide us. One of the things I am most proud of is that we created our first job this year. We stole Eric Sipsma from Amazon. He's an incredibly talented software engineer and single-handedly developed a solution that integrates into hospital IT systems. Now, with our incredible team and a vision for leveraging this new data stream, we recognize that in order to be successful, we need to focus our efforts on the highest impact application. So in September, I took part in an expo event that enabled 5-minute meetings with 30 hospital administrators from around the US. In these meetings, I gauged the relative interest of each potential customer in each of our products. While all of their reactions were positive, they favored the tray optimization solution over the others. Not only did I achieve a focused direction for subsequent development, but we are continuing conversations with 11 of the attendees as potential customers. I also made the strategic decision to keep the development of the movement analysis project within Duke. The localization technology for that application has a much higher technical risk and a longer commercialization horizon. Instead of burdening Menta with the cost of development and patent protection, I'm actively pursuing this aspect in my PhD research. If successful, localization of instruments will enable analyses of surgeon movement and can be leveraged for many commercial applications under a future license agreement. Focusing on our first product, we demonstrate 50% of instruments supplied to the OR could be eliminated. With that reduction, instrument tray optimization achieves $220 of direct to margin savings per surgery, which stands to save an academic medical center about $7.5 million annually and only costs around $120,000 for us to implement. With a value to cost ratio of above 60 and intense interest from stakeholders across Duke and other health centers, we knew we could achieve a sustainable offering that could begin to address an $8.5 billion US market. More importantly, it could serve as our starting place for bringing about the operating room of the future, an OR where necessary supplies are predicted, prepared, and delivered exactly when they are needed. While tray optimization is a small step towards that overarching goal, our first product provides a foundation for achieving that vision. Since then, we have achieved 3 key milestones in marketing our first product. The first was building a tag attachment robot. The robot automates the attachment of tags to instruments and allows us to market our solution more broadly at lower cost. The second achievement was developing a network architecture and accompanying software that integrates with hospital-side systems. And the third achievement was securing Duke as our first paying customer. Pilot data was pivotal in making our first sale. By measuring instrument use with the system in 43 surgeries over 3 surgical service lines, we were able to reduce trays by 50%. In cases with the reduced trays, none of the surgeons requested any of the eliminated instruments, and the reduced trays are still being used today. Setup time with the reduced instrument supply decreased by a quarter, and the weight of instrument trays decreased by a third. Of the 3 surgeons and 6 nurses who interacted with the RFID system, all found the RFID tags and system to be unobtrusive to surgical workflow. But most importantly, we ensured that the surgeon had exactly what they needed. With these positive results, many clinical advocates acted as proponents throughout the purchasing process, and we were able to convert our pilot studies into a larger deployment. With their support, we were approved by Duke's Enterprise Operations Committee to optimize 57 trays across transplant and colorectal services for $240,000. After the approval, we worked extensively with Duke's IT team to fit our software to their requirements and are now in our final stage of contracting. By working through our first sale, we learned that institutional purchases are time-consuming and require strong internal support. It became clear that if we were going to sell to hospitals, we would need to develop an offering at a low enough cost to avoid committee approval and eliminate the need for IT integration. So we developed a starter package. Instead of tagging the hospital's instruments, we purchase and tag our own instruments. That way, medical centers can select a tray they want optimized. We can configure our tag tray to match theirs and track our instruments in their surgeries. After only 10 surgeries per surgeon stakeholder, we provide a recommendation to the customer specifying the instruments to supply in their tray. For a lifetime cost to Menta of just over $10,000, we can deliver 50 times that in lifetime benefit to the hospital. This model allows us to validate our solution for new customers at a low cost, convert clinical stakeholders into proponents of our solution, and collect data that facilitates a follow-on institutional sale. Thank you. With a large implementation underway at Duke, a scalable minimum viable product offering to approach follow-on customers, and data to develop follow-on products, we see our primary goal for the next 3 years as developing and implementing new products that prove the importance of our novel data stream, a data stream that will advance the healthcare supply chain from reactive to predictive. As much as I've evolved since selling donuts as a kid, I'm still absolutely emboldened to solve yet another logistics problem and improve an inefficient supply chain, this time through a window into the operating room.
Good job, Ian.
Thank you.
Very good. All right, I will push it out to the judges for questions.
Hey, Ian. Great presentation. So you are still full-time pursuing the PhD. Your brother's taking kind of the role as CEO. Could you elaborate on what's the risk to you that you've taken so far or are taking if this business doesn't work out?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So the risk to me is mostly in delaying my PhD studies, but at this point I've tried to mitigate that risk as much as possible just by dividing and conquering. So luckily for me, I can apply learnings across roles pretty effectively. The things I'm developing as part of my PhD are closely related to the things I'm pursuing under Menta. And the way I kind of segmented that work is to try to solve the really, really risky things within the university still, where I can do it under institutional funding and grant funding, and then to actually translate the technologies that are less risky and more commercially applicable immediately. But I'd see the biggest risk to me being delaying my graduation as a PhD student and financially in Menta. I mean, I've invested 3 years of my life in it, so it's there's an investment there as well.
For sure. Thank you.
I think are the biggest obstacles to hospitals adopting your solution?
Yeah, I think with this new starter package, we've kind of identified it and worked to mitigate the biggest ones. So the biggest ones are big institutional purchases have to go through a rigorous review. And that hits a lot of desks. So like we have met with all of the higher ups at Duke, and eventually you get on the CFO's desk and it's his job to figure out, you know, is this financially viable? But it also hits the information security officer's desk. And so those two checkpoints really need to come out to be perfect. For us, the CFO desk one is pretty easy because this is direct to margin savings and the hospital doesn't actually have a huge budget. So this reflects like a sizable percent for them if we did implement. But for the information security office, we're a young company. Like we don't have a lot of the certifications that other bigger companies have. And so for that one, it was really working with Duke Health Technology Services to come up with an architecture that creates a way to exchange data that really minimizes the amount of PHI. Like we don't collect any PHI at this point. It's all internal to Duke, and we just read our instruments and tell them what's used or what's not used.
Ian, first of all, very thorough presentation, well prepared. Couple of questions specific to surgery. Having had a little experience with that myself, there is an artistry to the science of surgery. And so I wonder, is there a preordained data collection segment prior to implementing in any given hospital? Because you may have a neurosurgeon who likes to use tools that other neurosurgeons whose data you've collected have not used predominantly. So I'm questioning about that data gathering piece. And then secondly, how do you reduce the near-term concern for, I mean, do you have a tray of others that are close by, like right out in the hallway?
Yeah, so great question. So for the first one, we measure the use of every surgeon. So, if there's a tray that's used by, 5 surgeons, we measure their use in their surgeries. And so we can optimize a tray for however many surgeons are using it. We just look at all their instrument use and cross-list it with all the other instrument use and say, 90% of the time, all of your surgeons aren't using this. It might be more cost-effective to supply it in a peel pack. So that's one way where we mitigate that risk of, hey, a surgeon actually does need this in a really low probability case. But the other way is that the way we implement this is to work with clinical collaborators. So, once we have a list of instruments that we see as surgeons using all the time, we don't just change the trays without telling the surgeons. It's more about working with the surgeons to make sure that we're not missing anything. And then all this does is facilitate that discussion so that, surgeons who are really ingrained in old practices can see oh, this is the cost effect of me requiring 300 instruments per case when I only use 20.
Follow-up question, I guess. That there was an impressive cost savings number that you demonstrated. Is that primarily time in surgery, or is that instrument driven?
No, it's driven by the processing cost mostly. The biggest portion of that cost is from the reprocessing that happens in sterile processing, which I know you've spent quite a bit of time in the hospital, so you for sure know that those departments are overburdened. The reason there is so much instrument error up in the operating room is because it's like I Love Lucy. Like the chocolates just keep coming and they're not slowing down. So, instrument processing techs can't finish the processing of all these instruments in the time it takes for a surgeon to request the next ones, especially when they open 7 trays because 6 of them are contaminated. Then the processing technicians have to clean 7 trays. So it's kind of a snowballing problem, but there is an OR time savings cost, but we minimize that to only be direct savings. So, we looked at salaries and we looked at the cost of, we didn't take into consideration opportunity cost or anything like that.
Thank you.
Thank you all for judging.
Yeah, Ian, what's your favorite part of the business in what you're doing?
I really like the future applications of this data. Just being able to look at this and say, we can predict what instruments the surgeon is going to use next is so exciting to me, because it just means, we're kind of setting a foundation here for a totally different way surgery will be performed in the future. I think if we can predict what they're going to use, maybe we could just supply based on use instead of actually having instrument trays at all. Why do we need these pre-configured sets if we know, minute 39 of a CMC arthroplasty operation, Dr. Codd is going to need this instrument. So I think that's what's exciting to me. But
cool.
Ashlyn, did you have a question?
I don't. I think your presentation was very impressive. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Let me introduce Porter Kennedy of Vanderbilt with SO Straws.
All right. My name is Porter Kennedy, and we'll get started here. I'm a Master's of Business Administration student from Nashville, Tennessee. And as an Eagle Scout, the environment has been a prominent part of my life for many years, and a love for the environment has been instilled in me from an early age. While I was working an internship in Washington, D.C. in the summer of 2018, I noticed the prevalence of paper straws in restaurants and other food services. So I decided to research this phenomenon. And what I realized was the reason for the growth of the paper straw industry around the world is because of the staggering pollution that plastic straws cause to the environment. So when I get back to Auburn, where I did my undergraduate study, I asked my friend Cressy Cornish for her help in starting So Straws because of her longtime commitment to sustainability as well. We went with the name So Straws to stand for Save the Ocean Straws. Unfortunately, Cressy's not here today. She's not a student anymore, but she is still very much involved with the company. So by the year 2050, there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish by weight. And already today, 1 in 3 fish caught for human consumption contains plastic. Every day, approximately 8 million pieces of plastic finds its way into our oceans, which is the equivalent of 1 full garbage truck per minute. One of the biggest culprits by far are single-use plastic straws, being one of the top 5 items found in ocean cleanups. Unfortunately, most plastic straws are too small and lightweight to make it through the mechanical recycling sorters. So they slip through the sorting screens and end up contaminating the entire load and getting disposed of as garbage. So really, even if you wanted to recycle your plastic straws, you'd probably end up doing more harm than good, unfortunately. Additionally, it takes on average 200 years for a plastic straw to biodegrade into microplastics, meaning theoretically every plastic straw ever made is still in existence. Now that we've established what's wrong with plastic straws, we need to address the many issues with mainstream paper straws and the fact that many people have a negative opinion about them, and they're absolutely correct. The quality of most paper straws is terrible. I'm sure you've used paper straws that quickly disintegrate in your drink and have that weird cardboard taste. They're also expensive. A cheaply made pack of 20 paper straws at the party section of Target can run you $5 or more. Lastly, there aren't many options for paper straws at mainstream retailers. Like I said, you can find low quality paper straws in the party section of Target or none at all at Walmart. All 3 of these factors are why mainstream paper straws have a bad rep, and they're completely valid, but we need a viable alternative. We can't ban straws outright, as many people have disabilities or sensitive teeth. So it's time for a better straw. Fortunately, this isn't where the story ends. So Straws delivers high quality paper straws in a passion to make a difference. Our straws are of the highest quality while still on the cutting edge of sustainability. So straws take only 30 to 60 days to biodegrade, which is a stark contrast from the 200 plus years that plastic straws take. And we have 3 main values that went into the creation of So Straws. The first being quality. We chose paper straws of superior quality to any other paper straw. In addition, our premium straws are extremely price competitive as compared to the other big players in the market. And we maintain high margins as well and prices that are competitive with leading brands when selling to restaurants and retailers, which puts us at a major advantage. Finally, and most importantly, our company stands for something. The reason we set out to start this business is to diminish plastic use, and our charitable efforts are very important to us, which is why we donate a percentage of our profits toward ocean benefiting charities. As I'm sure many of you have noticed, paper straws have been a hot topic in the media over the past couple of years. In fact, many large cities with massive populations, universities, restaurants all over the country are making important changes to better the environment. For example, you look Seattle, New York, DC is among others, and a lot of restaurants, including Starbucks, McDonald's, and many others are pledging to switch away from single-use plastics over the next few years. In 2019, a market research company did a study on the paper straw market paper straw industry, showing where we are currently and predicting its continued growth. On the graph on your left, it projects the paper straw market to almost triple in size in the next 8 years, making the industry an almost $9 billion market. The graph on your right shows that we're in the very beginning of the average life cycle of a product's popularity. The paper straw has only just hit the growth stage and has unbelievable growth potential over the next several years, as you can see. For retail, we sell 50 sew straws in each of our custom-made boxes, and individual boxes can be purchased for $6.99 right now through Instagram, Facebook, our website, sewstraws.com, and other platforms. Retail sales brings in an almost 80% profit margin, which gives us larger percentage of profits to benefit the oceans. In fact, we're already seeing strong sales with these boxes on our current selling platforms, and we're looking to expand from direct to consumer into big box retail shelves like Target and Whole Foods. In addition, we sell our straws in bulk. We sell loose straws to restaurants and food services for a 44% profit margin. And when we do start selling our boxes to grocery stores and large retailers, that will draw a 52% profit margin. Companies can receive a bulk price quote from our website and can have a custom straws made with their desired logo. So far, you can find our straws at many restaurants, including Acre, Martin's Barbecue Joint, Amelia's, Fabioli, Sellers Winery, and many others. Our business model is to employ the keystone method of sales, which is selling in bulk for double our costs and selling retail for quadruple our costs. We are laying the groundwork right now by selling to more restaurants and customers every week and plan on capturing 5% of the paper straw industry in North America over the next 5 years. This would create projected revenues of over $75 million to the current $3 billion per year paper straw market valuation. The rise of plastic straws are growing. The rise of plastic straw bans are growing. With a total population of 20 million people in cities banning plastic straws, that number is still growing. You look at the state of California and places like DC, Seattle, Orlando, Miami Beach, just to name a few, have already banned plastic straws or are making the move to do so through legislation. Additionally, we plan to build partnerships with world-renowned ocean-saving charities to do even more good for the environment. So we currently have an official partnership with the Coral Reef Alliance, and we also donate to Oceana and the Ocean Conservancy, which are both charities that fund science-based solutions for a healthier ocean as well as ocean cleanups. Lastly, we participate in local and countrywide events. For example, we participated in Auburn University's Skip the Straw Day, where they supplied our straws at their on-campus restaurant, Fresh from the Plains. And in addition, we will travel to different food service conventions and plan to stock sports stadiums to promote the Sew Straws brand. Let's talk about competition for a moment.
3 minutes.
There is currently very limited competition in the paper straw industry, which gives us a chance to gain an early foothold on the market. Most companies sell in massive bulk quantities, which eliminates their ability to sell to individual customers or have little to no brand recognition. We currently have an incredible advantage as a startup, being one of the first movers. Some of you may be aware of Aardvark straws, but like I said, they only deal with large quantities for corporations rather than individual direct-to-consumer sales like we do as well. We're a very unique startup because there's not much competition yet. We sell a premium product that we chose after personally testing around 100 different types of paper straws. We also have the capability to expand the Sew brand, being that it stands for Save the Ocean, with more single-use plastic substitutions like Sew cups, Sew plates, and so on. Lastly, we have brand recognition with the Sew name. Right now, not many people can name a paper straw company off the top of their heads, but with our targeting of restaurants and the individual consumer, many people can recognize the name Sew Straws. Our plan to scale So Straws is through attaining a nationwide distributor as well as selling to large restaurant chains and sports venues. We're currently in talks with Cisco to carry So Straws, Ted's Montana Grill to have our product in their restaurants, and Whole Foods to have our retail boxes on their shelves. We also have a strategic partnership with the owner of the Texas Rangers, which will help us enter sports venue sales after in-game experiences return. Skeptics may believe as something as small as switching to paper straws is a very small step and will not make a huge difference in fixing the overarching problem of plastic pollution. But we believe even the smallest steps can lead to the biggest action. Many of us want to protect our environment, but feel overwhelmed by the possibility of drastic life changes, which is valid, as they often are not something that can be accomplished overnight. Switching to paper straws and refusing plastic ones is a simple change we can make, and it's empowering first step for many people towards protecting our environment that can lead to many more. We invite and encourage you to join us on our initiative to save the oceans and better our environment. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Porter. Great presentation.
Thanks, sir.
We'll kick it over to the judges for questions.
Okay, absolutely.
Well, I've already ordered a box while we were talking.
That popped up on my phone and I saw it. I was like, huh, somebody ordered a box right now.
And I sent you in a bulk request.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank
Well,
you.
no, straws are, I hear everything you say. How long do these last? Like, drink. They're not going to get mushy and all that.
Yes, and we've had them in drinks for several hours, and they won't get mushy. Now it is paper, so after if you leave it in there and are sucking on it for 10 hours,
yeah,
it's gonna disintegrate at some point. But we do something a little different. Our paper is thicker layers of paper, and they're more tightly bound. So I guess it's a lot like a bagel versus a piece of bread, right? It's a lot thicker. And it's more layers of paper, although it doesn't really look that way. But it lasts a lot longer. And in fact, you can reuse them if you so please. You can leave them out to dry a little bit, wash them, whatever, and then the next day they are hard as a rock again.
Okay.
Do you already have revenue? What amount or how are sales?
Yeah, we did about $2,500 last year. We, like I said, we have Martin's Barbecue Joint, Fabioli Cellar Wineries, a couple others. Right now, I'm looking to scale through Ted's Montana Grill is kind of our next big move, I think. In fact, on Monday, I'm going to have a call with their acquisitions person and or purchasing person. So I think Ted's Montana Grill is our next move as far as restaurants. And then I think the main thing other than that, as far as scaling, is getting into like a Cisco or a US Foods.
Porter, I quick Googled while we were listening to your presentation, what's the cost of a pack of 50 plastic straws? And it's something like that, right?
Yes, sir. Plastic straws are cheaper, and they'll always be cheaper. So plastic straws, for one plastic straw, a single plastic straw for you and for the manufacturer is a fraction of a penny. Well, a paper straw is also. Now the percentage might be a good bit, right? So it might jump from a fraction of a penny to a good bit larger fraction of a penny, but we're still only, the nominal amount is so low that for a lot of places, unless they're serving millions and millions of straws, the actual dollar amount is not that big of a difference.
So Porter, my question is, with a 78% margin that you presented, you have an opportunity to maybe approach this at a lower cost, wider market penetration approach. What consideration have you given to that in terms of the impact on your manufacturing plans, on your marketing? I'm curious as to why you're going the one restaurant route versus, hey, we could do this more cheaply and swallow.
Yeah. So for our, when we're selling to restaurants, obviously that margin's a lot lower. Now for the retail price, right, we sell the boxes. That's what the individual consumer is looking for. They're looking to they're not as worried about price, we found, but you're right, as far as restaurants and when we're selling it in this massive bulk, we usually do sell it at a lot lower cost to the restaurant. And we try to make it as competitive with plastic as we can. We can't beat that, but we usually are able to beat other paper straw companies.
Very good. Thank you.
Sir, thank you.
You just need to send some to Oprah.
That might be a good idea.
Right. And she'll put it, that'll become one of her favorite things. There's a big gap between plastic straws and regular reusable straws, which are a pain to clean.
Right.
And everything paper in the middle gets mushy. Can y'all tell I use straws?
Yeah. And the thing is like restaurants, they usually want a disposable straw. They're not gonna re-clean their. So I think that's where we have an opportunity to scale.
And then how did you pick, 30% of your profit when you're already, doing a good cause by saving the world. How did you decide to give 30% of your profit away back to the environment?
Right now for the boxes, it's 10. Is it 30 on one of those things? On the old box, it was 30%.
Okay, I saw the image on it that said that.
Okay. On our new one, which the 30 was kind of the prototype box that we had at the beginning of last year, beginning of 2019. And for the rest of the time, the 2.0 box, it's 10%. So we donate 10% of our profits towards these ocean benefiting charities. Now for restaurants, when we sell it in bulk, we do a different, we usually give about 1% to 2% for those, but we do 10% right now for the retail boxes.
So how difficult is it for somebody else to make a similar paper straw to yours, one that doesn't get soggy as fast?
Yeah, well, there's no patent on paper straws, right? There's no patent on this design or any other design of paper straws. But we are a first mover here, or close to first movers on this type of straw. And I think of it a lot like the Tom's brand. The Tom's brand is a brand that started with a charitable initiative, just like us. And so they obviously, they did well. And Skechers tried to do the same thing. They pulled out something called the Bob's brand, which was same idea as Tom's, where they donate one pair of shoes for every pair of shoes bought. But the problem is, and this is what we would like to happen, is for us to, by the time anybody else can do this type of stuff, we've already scaled to the point where we are the brand. On top of that, I'm securing I'm in talks with my manufacturer right now to have exclusivity, as we're the only North American company that they can sell to. Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, judges?
Porter, what are you most excited about kind of going forward in what you're building?
Well, I am really excited about two things. I think the first would be, it is really fun talking with some of these big companies. It's exciting, and it feels like we're doing something big here. Talking to Cisco and all these big players and the Texas Rangers has been exciting. And also, I think seeing an actual change from these single-use plastics to a paper straw. Paper straws are not the biggest plastic problem, but it's an easy fix and not really much of a cost difference. And so I think that we can, if we can make help people make change like this, I think that's exciting.
Maybe one day you'll have the So Cup and you'll have a song called the One So Cup. Red Solo Cup.
That's right.
All right. Anything else? Porter, wonderful job. Thank you for calling the audible once again.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for your presenting scrolling was actually very, it was pretty good. I gotta say, it was very, very impressive. And thank you, judges. And I wish I could be there in person to give you a box, to give you one to actually try, but maybe some other time. But
Worked out better. Now you got the revenue.
That's right.
All right, Porter, sounds good. We'll see you in about 45 minutes.
all right. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Thank you.